Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We are broadcasting it here from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, and it is time to kick off our Esports Tower Overwatch Week 1 Spring Rumble. Tonight we have a major twist for our Esports Tower teams. All of the rosters have been shuffled up to create 3 new teams: the Mammoths, the Flares, and the Meteors. Who will come out on top with these new rosters? I'm your host, Brenner Bear Lat, and join with me to call all of the action is Colby D'Angelo Alway. So Colby, with these new rosters, what are these teams looking for to accomplish to come out with a victory?
So something that's pretty standard that all teams, regardless of whether or not they have new members, need to be doing to have success is, first of all, individual mechanical skill is incredibly important. That is one of the things that led the Everests to becoming the reigning champions that they currently are in Esports Tower right now, is just individual mechanical skill. And then the other thing is aggression as a team, which is sometimes difficult to form if like half your team has a new roster because you don't know those players as well, and so you might not be able to play with them as well. So I expect most of these teams to still be in the individual mechanics phase, and then perhaps later in the week we'll see more of that team-based aggression together to get those wins that the Everest had before, but maybe another team will be able to pick it up now because everybody's all mixed up now.
Yeah, and with the Everest being such a consistent team coming out with those wins, and now the roster being changed up, which is something you touched on, what are you hoping to see these other players come to match the skill of those Everest players that are now in their roster?
So some important things that the Everest had that they may or may not have now just because of the roster changes were they had a really, really important, great support lineup, especially on the Baptiste. Because, I mean, Baptiste is just an overall very high-impact hero. He can do a lot of different things. The MO is one of the most broken abilities in the game, and so obviously you need to know how to use that. But Baptiste can also do a truly devastating amount of damage, as well as the amount of healing output that he has. And the Everest had a solid one for the longest time, so we'll get to see tonight if they still have their BAP player or if they have to bring a new one in, and if that new player will be able to match the standard that brought the Everests so far to the top.
Yeah, and another big challenge these players are going to have to overcome is they didn't know what their roster was until today, which the Rumble is being played. So that's another huge hurdle that the players are going to have to overcome. And as we take a look at what this Rumble is going to consist of, it's going to be a 6v6, of course, in competitive Overwatch, a best of 5 with the map order going Control, then Escort, then Hybrid, and finishing out with Assault. And if we get to that map number 5, it will be heading back over to Control. And with everything these players have been going on, we can take a look at what the teams are going to be. It's going to be the Meteors, Meridian Tech, our very own that we have spent a lot of time with, the Mammoths, and the Flares. Of course, this Rumble is taking place every Tuesday here on the Boise State Twitch channel. And of course, these players need all the help they can get, especially with a mixed up roster, which is where we bring in our own Docs keys to the game in Overwatch. And of course, in Overwatch, that means to never take a fair fight. But what does that mean? Take a fair fight in unexpected places when they are unprepared. And of course, tempo, tempo, tempo. And these are brought to us by the Esports Tower, where you can score pro advice at esportstower.com, improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. Well, we are getting ready to jump into our first matchup of the night, which is going to be the Meridian Tech taking on the Meteors. Meridian Tech is a team we've seen quite often. What are you hoping to see from them tonight? Because they also have some new players joining the roster.
Hopefully with some new players, we'll get some new hero pools into Meridian Tech's kind of like available pool of heroes that they play. Because one of the biggest issues with this team is they have not been able to get off of the Roadhog. They have not been able to get off of the Mercy. And while they do have people that are extremely good at those heroes, Overwatch is very much a game where one tricking is not right for every situation, right? And so they need to be able to play new heroes when Roadhog or Mercy isn't working. So hopefully we'll see them do just that.
Well, as he kicked the night off with Meridian Tech taking on the Meteors, remember Esports Tower teams feature players from all 3 rosters, so we have to see how fast they can adapt and learn to play together. So the first team fight is going to kick off, and Meridian Tech actually has a pretty brawly comp compared to the Meteors, which is a bit of that hybrid with both a shield and a lot of DPS output. But Joe is going to get first blood onto Soup. but Daydream is there with the res, so it's still back to a 6v6. They can still come out with a victory here, but Meridian Tech took the point first, so they're already building that percentage. And with a missed hook on that Tracer, she manages to escape with her life very low. Law will end up picking that kill up as well as Joe coming in for one more. Meridian Tech getting on the aggressive, wins the first fight.
Soup got eliminated twice that fight. Very, very unfortunate. At some point, you need to learn to play behind your tanks, and that ultimately ended up hurting the ET Meteors here. And actually, something that I want to touch on, one of Meridian Tech's star players was Daydream, that is now on the Meteors, bringing that Mercy to their benefit. So we'll see, and I mean, obviously that didn't pan out for them this first fight, but we'll see if they'll be able to do that the second fight. And hopefully Junkrat and Roadhog won't be caught out this time.
Yeah, Blank with an early pulse bomb, but instead a great shatter is going to come out onto 3 members, leading to a ton of elimination for Meridian Tech, but Meteor's still able to pick up 2 with Soup and King Swiffer getting that damage out, but Meridian Tech holding that front line.
Meridian Tech's DPS were the price for a one fight there at a huge shatter on the hands of BBQ there. Just an amazing job overall. These next ultimates that we're going to want to watch is we're going to want to watch the Junk Tire, whether or not it's able to get value, and that Blizzard coming up that is currently at 89%. That will charge mid-fight or likely be used to initiate next fight.
Yeah, so all eyes are going to be on the ults, and it seems that the amplification matrix from JBER is going to come out first for Meridian Tech. Now with BBQ getting the first elimination onto Daydream. That is a good start in the right direction for the Meteors, but now, as you mentioned, here comes the Tire, and we'll get the elimination onto the Sigma. So trying to even things out as BBQ also eliminates JBR. Now the Law's coming back, getting the elimination onto the Real, quickly followed by Nova getting the elimination onto Blank. The Blizzard also now coming out, leading to Joe taking down Nova. Contesting the point as it is overtime. Daydream also breaking out the Valkyrie, and another shatter is going to land up to 2 members, but they weren't able to capitalize on it as Soup gets the elimination onto Joe, and finally Meridian Tech takes the point.
The Blizzard was overall not very impactful. That was a feel-good Blizzard, and there was really no reason to have done it at 99-0. They could have easily just used that to take the next fight and win the map. However, Junkrat Tire getting the solo pick onto the Sigma, I would definitely say that that's value.
Yeah, so now all eyes are going to be on the 3 ultimates that are in this, but the Real is charging up that amplification very fast. So now all the ultimates are going to come out for the Meteors with that Rally and the Retivic Flux, but it will not land. Instead, the Shatter will come out and land onto a couple members, but instead, the Holy Chop, who got Shattered, gets the elimination onto the lot because he did not have the follow-up of his team. Now with a great freeze onto Nova. Blank doing work in the back lane, getting a 2-piece, quickly followed by the Sigma picking up one more. BBQ picking up Nova. Blank finishes out with a triple as Daydream ends up trading. Seems like it will be a first map win for the Meteors.
And that is what they could have done with the Blizzard, but they ended up accomplishing anyway just by winning the fight. Sometimes an ultimate can make that a bit more secure, though. Overall, they won the map, though, so nothing to complain about.
Yeah, Meteors had a very aggressive push with Meridian Tech finally coming back towards the end, but it was too little too late. So now heading over to map 2 of Oasis. What are you hoping to see from these team comps?
Something I really want to highlight that went well was the Law swapping off of the Roadhog onto the Reinhardt, because we explicitly talked about it before the match. Meridian Tech sometimes struggles swapping off of those heroes. Immediately, first fight, Hog didn't work, we swapped to Reinhardt. So that was an amazing job by Meridian Tech there, that recognizing that something needed to change and then going out and changing it quickly.
Yeah, and already looking at these roster lineups, Meridian Technical definitely has the favor because they have that Soldier going in, and the Cole Cassidy going into an Echo without even a pocket Mercy, so she is going to have a very hard time. And Daydream just flying up into the sky and making herself an open target. So now with the fight going on, and with this BBQ, we're watching his perspective, he's looking to go right in on Daydream because she is the juiciest target, and Joe's going to go right in on her. So that's the fight already +1 in the Meteor's favor, but quickly evened out as Nova takes down BBQ, quickly followed by Soup taking down Delirious. One support, one main take, make that second main take. Soup's going on a tear with a 2-piece right now, quickly followed by the Law taking out Joe. That should be the first team fight in Meridian Tech's favor, but they have yet to cap the point as the Meteors prioritize it to build up that early percentage with an anti going on to King Swifter, leading to the elimination of the Real. It seems that finally Meridian Tech will take the point.
And that was a long-fought fight, 16%, just because the Meteors got on point first, even though they did end up losing. And ultimately, 16% is an okay amount to pay for winning the overall fight here. Usually you don't want it to get quite that high, but honestly, if you can get the point, you can take the high ground, and if you can put them on the offensive, definitely worthwhile here as Meridian Technical sets up to take this next fight.
Yeah, they are getting so close to that ult advantage, but instead the Meteors will get the first 2 ults online of that Pulse Bomb and the Nana. Oh, but the Pulse Bomb will be used and prevented by the Immortality, so instead Nova's going to come in with the Sight to simply line of sight him with the help of that Amplification Matrix. So Meridian Tech buying a lot of time, but BBQ going in with that Nano. Big slam down. So he's hop over to Soup with the Deadeye still holding on to it, but BBQ and Joe just pushing right into Meridian Tech and rolling over them with the help of the Real and BBQ now getting a triple onto both DPS. That's the fight for the Meteors just like that.
Meteors were more aggressive with their ultimates, and so they won the fight. They went in with the Nano, got the first pick onto the Baptiste, and honestly, when Baptiste is the first member dead on your team, you gotta assume that that's a lost fight.
So now heading into this next team fight with 3 ultimates for Meridian Tech. Hopefully we can see them pull out with it, but as you mentioned, they have to be aggressive with their ults.
Shatters in this game have been huge, but it's going to be really difficult for the Law to get one onto the high ground as Reinhardt. They will have to approach just because the Meteors can easily just run away from them.
And you can see Soup having to lag behind his team because Blank on this Tracer has just been such a nuisance. But Joe now with the duplicate is going to get the Shatter in the back and make that a triple, but the Law's going to follow it up with his own Shatter, getting both supports from the Meteors. So now Joe's going to finish it off by taking down Law, as showing him how the Reinhardt is done. Daydream's just going to have to suicide off the edge, and that's another reset.
Bear Shatter wins the fight, though I will say the Law had the right idea going up to the high ground. They just weren't able to get the rest of their team to capitalize on it. Big main point is Reinhardt. You have to have people to follow you up.
So now setting up for the next team fight. Meteors don't really have a lot of ults in their kits, but both tank ults can definitely swing the fight in their favor. Meridian Tech gonna engage with the Deadeye right onto Joe, but Blanks make sure to even it up, so both teams down a DPS, but the Meteors charge up that rally. So cookie for Blank and BBQ to pick up 2 more. Daydream's there with the res, who will get eliminated immediately after by a Holy Chub cookie followed by Blank taking down Nova. Soup finally taking down BBQ and demeching the Holy Chub. Soup doing their work right now to keep their team in this fight, but without getting on the point, that means that the Meteors will take it.
Some valiant efforts were made to touch the point. I want to say that the biggest thing that I think Meridian Technical was having problems with was the Tracer in that backline. Even if they weren't getting the explicit eliminations, they were getting the damage in so that everybody else could come in with those eliminations.
Yeah, definitely being the nuisance, and Soup having to lag behind his team for so long definitely cost them the frontline pressure that they needed from that Cole Cassidy. So now as we head over to the second map of Havana, with Joe doing so well on that Echo, do you think they'll continue with it?
I think the Echo is usually a good pick on Havana, the exception being if the enemy team is running double snipers. You typically don't want to run, especially an unpocketed Echo, into double snipers. That's just, there are a lot of rooftops you can play, but that's just asking to be eliminated at that point.
Well, as we head over to Havana, looking at this lineup, anything standing out to you?
The double hit scan on Meridian Technical with that Mercy Pocket is going to be absolutely devastating, especially if they're on defense because of that Sigma and that Ana as well. They will be able to have high ground control, and with the Meteor's current comp, they won't be able to do a ton about that high ground control if Meridian Tech is on defense here. And it actually looks like the Meteors are on defense, so they're going for a close hold, and this is definitely the comp for that. However, this comp does not work for the rest of Havana, so if this close hold does not work here, they need to swap off of it immediately.
Just holding that high ground on top of the gas station, immediately going right into the fight, setting up what Boise State has coined the wall of all. Bonesaw is going to get first elimination onto Soup, which is what you need. Quickly falling onto the Ana. There goes the Roadhog, both tanks. That's a clean first fight for the Meteors.
Huge Doomfist value, and usually that's how first fights of a close hold go. Of a close hold go, excuse me, if the enemy team can't scout out the close hold.
Yeah, and we saw very quickly Daydream swapping over to the Brig and Nova back on the Reaper, so that you know they're trying to win that first fight, but with the Law on the Roadhog, he needs to start getting his value because BBQ's just running right into them, and Nova will get the first elimination on the Bonesaw, but Blank immediately gets the refrag onto King Swifter. And Meridian Technical is playing very far back, just allowing the Meteors to get very aggressive and get those picks, with BBQ picking up Nova and Blank taking down Daydream. That seems to already be another reset as Soup manages to take down BBQ. That's the main tank down for the Meteors. He has a long walk back.
Sometimes when you're holding outside their spawn, you just need to use your ults. You don't need to do so. You don't need to do so carefully, especially if you're looking at 4 of them in prime shattering position.
Yeah, and perfect timing with the Law on that hook, preventing the remake from that D.Va. Perfect timing. So now they finally get to push the cart. This is where we want to see the Meteors maybe start changing up the comps after they use their ults.
And a minute is not bad for a close hold to take that off. The point of a close hold is not to hold indefinitely. It's just to get a minute, maybe a minute 30 off the ball.
They definitely achieved that. Now they're just going charging right in with the Blizzard. Will not land onto any of Meridian Tech, but still will freeze King Swifter. The Deadeye was used, was not able to pick one up, but great zoning mechanics as BBQ and now Chum is fought picking up 2, who both tanks are down for Meridian Tech. That might just be a reset right there, but they're going to continue the push to build up those ults.
And it looks like the Meteors are resetting up to do, nope, they're backing off. They had the opportunity to do another close hold here, but that's not optimal just because they can sneak by you and push the cart.
Seems they were trying to do exactly that, immediately going over to that left side from their spawn, but now going back down the middle. A lot of pressure right now here on King Swift, being the only barrier tank for their team, especially having a very close combat team, and a lot of pressure on this Baptiste as well. But Bonesaw is going to go right into the back lane, and a shatter onto 2 members, including that Baptiste. First one down, but it seems the Real's also going to go down. So both Baptistes taken down immediately, with King Swifter taking down BBQ, but now Bonesaw taking out Soup. The Law is going to bring out the whole hog to demech the D.Va and take down Bonesaw. So it seems the Meteors are going to have to back off this time because Meridian Tech has that spawn advantage with the help of that rally.
Back off and maybe swap some DPS here as we're hopefully going to try to put some distance on. It looks like they're going for a last-minute cart contest, but after this attempt, they really need to get off of those DPS and consider if they really want to Reinhardt over a Sigma.
So they're going to open things up with the Amplification Matrix, quickly followed by BBQ, who with the Flame Strike taking down Nova, and Bonesaw going on a 2-piece with the help of that Meteor Strike, taking down the Law and Daydream. Blank winning the 1v1 against Soup. Bonesaw finishing up JBER, and that should be it for the fight as King Swifter falls.
Meridian Technical has the Death Blossom that they can absolutely use to great effect because the Meteors only have one thing, and that's a Doom Punch to try to CC that, or the Cole Cassidy Flash Fan, now that we have that there. Good swap on the side of the Meteors here. Hopefully they're anticipating the Death Blossom.
Yeah, Beyblade and the Deadeye are going to be the 2 ults to watch, but they're trying to focus down Nova. He's falling very low, but Bonesaw will get the first elimination on the Soup. Here comes the Beyblade taking down Quad for Meridian Tech as Bonesaw. It manages to take down the Baptiste, but they're going to continue this aggression with a great teleport right into the cart, not even 2 feet in front of you. Meridian Tech trying to keep the dream alive to cap that first checkpoint.
That DM came out just too little, too late, and unfortunately Meridian Tech was able to get the quad Deadeye here. And the Meteors don't have a lot to retake this point with, so they would almost be better off swapping comps and setting up, though it looks like they're not going to do that as Nova gets the first elimination on the real bank.
Yeah, gonna open things up with the Gratific Flux with King Swifter picking up 2 off of it. Bonesaw able to take down the main heals, but that's not gonna stop the tank. Now coming in with the Meteor Strike, taking down both DPS. Now with no supports, the Law finally is able to finish them off, but Bonesaw trying to do some major work for the Meteors.
And it looks like the Law and the Roadhog is going to see who they can pick, see if there's anybody being super aggressive without their team, unable to find anything so far, as the Meteors are going to set up with what looks like more of a spam comp here, just because now they have the Junkrat. Bonesaw on that Tracer is going to have to be very careful because there's no one on their team that can help them out.
Yeah, he's going to have to match the pressure that Blank did on that Tracer when we were on Oasis. Making sure to secure that high ground. Now trying to just push right into Meridian Tech, and it's working so far with the elimination of Soup. There goes the Immortality Field, so that's a key cooldown used for Meridian Tech, just trying to sustain through this fight so far. Are very split up, losing the 1 member. It seems they just backed off immediately.
Meridian Technical really needs to match the Meteor's aggression here, as that Junkrat Tire is going to get absolutely no value. Soup is going to take that out, especially with the ultimate advantage that they have. They should be popping Rally now and walking into them.
So hopefully we can see that activate. Instead, the Real is going to bring out the Amplification Matrix, and Blank getting a triple in the backline on this Junkrat.
Oh my
taking
gosh.
down both supports and Soup, quickly followed by Chum finishing off the Law. That's a reset for Meridian Tech.
Meridian Technical's playstyle so far has been entirely reactionary. They really need to get on the aggressive if they're going to attempt to take this point, especially when the Junkrat is right there within their reach, getting a triple kill in their backline.
Yeah, this is something we've seen Meridian Tech work on again and again, is their team coordination. So now they just have to get on the aggressive. They've been good otherwise for the retreats, but you can tell BBQ is looking for the Shatter. Daydream now activating the rally a little too late as the Law and Nova are taken down by Chum is Fum and Blank. Trying to find those next two eliminations. They do have the respawn advantage, so they can continue this fight. Now the Pacific Flux coming out to eliminate BBQ as Soup finally wins the 1v1 against Bonesaw. Blank finishing off JBER. Chum is Fum taking down King Swifter. It's a lot of consistent trades, but with this all-out brawl and only 30 seconds remaining, Meridian Tech has to get on the cart. Finally, Soup is able to demech Chum is Fum and get the elimination.
They have the Death Blossom if they're going to be able to do anything. That's what enabled them to get this first point. That might be what enables them to push further on second.
Now the Shatter coming out from BBQ, landing onto 4 members of Meridian Tech, but does not have the rest of his team to follow it up. Finally, Bonesaw is able to speed in and take down Soup as Law brings out the whole hog to eliminate BBQ. The tower coming out perfectly timed. Shade for Absolute Nova on this Reaper to prevent that elimination, but now with overtime, Meridian Tech cannot C9 off of this cart, because that could be game. The Amplification Matrix right on top of the cart to give them that little edge that they needed. Daydream now swapping over to the Moira just for that extra DPS to take down Blank. Now the huge self-destruct coming out, and the pulse bomb will not lead to elimination. Instead, that Immortality Field, another cooldown on that Meridian Tech is going to have to play very safely around, but a great Death Blossom will be prevented by that Diva, and the Immortality Field with BBQ getting the elimination. Bonesaw taking down the main heals of Baptiste, quickly followed by BBQ getting another 2-piece onto Daydream and the Law. This seems to be the end of it for Meridian Tech as the Meteors finish it out with a team kill.
Gotta say, I was a little bit disappointed with Meridian Technical's ultimate usage in these past couple of fights here. One, because Rally is not a defensive ultimate. People get eliminated much too fast for Rally to do anything there, especially if they're being burst down. Rally is not the response to burst damage. And two, Reaper Death Blossom right in the face of the Diva. It worked for you once because the Diva was slow on the uptake there, but it's not going to work for you a second time because most of these teams are here to win. They're here to learn. And that was just unfortunate on the side of Meridian Technical, not using those ultimates to the great effect that they were meant to be used.
Yeah, so now with Meridian Tech on the defense, do you think they'll pull out the same strat as the Meteors for going for a close hold, or something more like a Widow and a Bastion play?
The Widow and the Bastion on the side of the Meteors is definitely, I want to say cheeky, just because they were able to prevent Meridian Technical from even capping second point. So their goal is to do this as fast as humanly possible. But Meridian Tech with Absolute Nova on that Junkrat, I actually think they might be able to sustain this Bastion comp. I think this Bastion comp might be in for a little bit of a shock if Meridian Technical plays their distance, plays corners, and does what a spam comp is meant to do.
Spam.
Exactly, spam. It's in the name.
Who would have thought? But as we wait, even changing up over to the Hanzo from the Widow. Oh, try to burn down those shields just that much quicker for the Bastion. And Delirious swapping off the Mercy to the Lucio. So Bastion now not having the pocket Mercy could just weaken him that much more. But being that point-and-click hero might not even stop him. Already taking such a powerful position, cutting off those sight lines, allowing so much free distance for the cart right now for the Meteors.
And the Bastion is being careful. They played the off angle. They didn't just immediately set up on cart and see what they could do. They're playing around cover, not necessarily shield cover. And it looks like a Bastion flank is imminent here. And I hope Meridian Technical's ready for it. BBQ definitely sees him. They're definitely...
They made the rotations.
They made the rotation. Reinhardt looked, peeked over there, was like, I don't like that, and turned.
I'm in danger. As we can already see, Bastion gets the first blood of this matchup against King Swifter. So that is already +1 point for the Meteors against Meridian Tech, but finally Nova will even it out, taking down Blank. But Bonesaw jumps right into the face of Danger, taking down Soup and the Law through the charge, having his taking frontline form of the Law. But now Nova taking down Bonesaw. BBQ evens it out, gets the refrag for his teammate onto Absolute Nova. Now it is just a brawl for this first checkpoint, and the Meteors are not relenting right now as BBQ takes down King Swifter, who had just respawned. And we can see Challenge Farm just going right in onto JBER. Soup now coming in with getting a two-piece onto the real Evan and Blank, but it will not be enough, and that's the checkpoint.
Bastion Flank getting the Sigma, definitely huge value here, as now they'll be able to set up on the cart. However, Meridian Technical has access to high ground and ultimates. If they want to win this, and if they want to stay in the game and possibly take us to a map 3, they need to use their ultimates now. The biggest one from them is probably going to be Amplification Matrix from the high ground looking at the Bastion. That will be able to get them the eliminations they need. There's no way they're going to be able to get junk tire value looking right at the Bastion.
Yeah, Meteor's holding on to 5 ultimates right now. Oh, finally going to use the Double Dragons to try to zone out Meridian Tech. Meridian Tech's going to bring out the Nano to try to keep their tanks alive. Now, all 3 ultimates coming out for the Meteors, including the Amplification Matrix. A great self-destruct going to lead to both tanks getting eliminated. The tire attempt did come out, but did not lead to an elimination. The Deadeye coming up, but quickly eliminated by Bonesaw with this tank taking down both DPS. Bonesaw showing how to play Bastion right now, just having a field day as Chum's Fum takes down the main support, quickly followed by Blank, finishing off Daydream on that Ana, with Meridian Tech just trickling in. It seems that will be the victory for the Meteors, as the Law tried to come in with the Shatter, only landing onto Bonesaw, who was just out on the cart, and that will be it. The Meteors win Havana.
The Meteors got the Bastion flank. Amazing job.
Yeah, so as you know, you can only go at it alone will only take you so far. Ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of success, you have to level up your team skills. We just saw that play with the Meteors around that Bastion. They had the team play skills, and you can see how talented these players are. Esports Tower really takes their time to create teams of well-matched teammates. And of course, I'd like to do a shout out to the coaches. And if you're one of those watching and haven't checked out Esports Tower Clubs, you should. It's a fast track to rank up. And this was an impressive debut for the Meteors to start off with a win over Meridian Tech, who's been a very consistent team. So up next, we have the new 2 Esports Tower teams of the Flares taking on the Mammoths.
And I think one of the big things we learned from this match that we can take into next match and hope the Flares and the Mammoths do better is ultimate usage balanced with aggression, right? So if you have 5 ultimates on the board, you need to be able to use those effectively. And if you're just holding 4 ultimates for upwards of like 2 minutes, that's also definitely not what we're looking for here. You don't need to kill the entire team with an ultimate. A novel concept, I know. Sometimes just getting 2 people is enough.
Yeah, so some good pointers for the Flares and Mammoths going into this, but we are going to take a quick break before we go into this next matchup, so stay tuned.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Hello and welcome back to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We are broadcasting it here from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. It is week one of our spring Overwatch Tower Rumble, and there are some major changes this week. In case you missed it, all three Esports Tower teams were reassembled, and the Meteors just had a stellar debut. Who will come out on top between the Flares and the Mammoths in our up-and-coming match? Have to wait and see. I'm your host, Brenner Bearlad, and join with me to call all the action is Colby D'Angelo Alloway. And so we talked about what these teams might need to succeed. After seeing what the Meteors have brought to the table, what are you hoping to see from the Flares and the Mammoths, kind of taking notes from them?
So the Meteors have been the team to watch in the past couple matches that we've done so far, just because they've been absolutely amazing, and I think that comes from two things. One, I think their DPS are absolutely phenomenal, and they're getting tons of value, and the mechanical skill of those DPS on the Meteors is absolutely off the charts, at least from what we've seen so far. And I think the second thing that they do well is they use their ultimates to great value. Like, obviously, you don't have to save your ultimate until you can get a whole 6 people. Sometimes just getting 2 or 4 is enough, and the Meteors definitely did that, and using them before the enemy team has the opportunity to use their own is another big thing that the Meteors did.
So some great pointers for the Flares and Mammoths going into this next matchup. But we want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from these clubs and been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $1.6 million in scholarships awards. These students have not only worked hard in their in-game play, but worked hard academically and have earned these scholarship opportunities. We could not be more excited and proud to see all these opportunities these players are getting. And one more thing that has helped these players out, on top of the tips from my co-caster here, is Doc's keys to the game, which are presented by Esports Tower. But in Overwatch, that's to never take a fair fight. But what does that mean? Take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared, and of course, tempo, tempo, tempo. And these are presented by the Esports Tower, where you can scroll pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. We are getting ready to jump into our matchup of the Mammoths taking on the Flares, with first map going to be Oasis once again.
As is usually the standard here. Doc's keys to the game: take fights in unexpected places, be bonesaw, sneak up on their Sigma. As we set up here for the Flares versus the Mammoths, it does look like both will be running the Reinhardt, but with Rein Diva with that Baptiste Lucio. Where they differ is the DPS. Sim Mei for the Flares and Mei Reaper for the Mammoths. It looks like the Flares, which actually are both pretty brawl-heavy comps, it'll be up in the air who gets more value in melee range, the Symmetra or the Reaper.
Well, we saw our first brand new esports tower team pick up a win over Meridian Tech, so how will the other brand new teams do in their first action? Let's find out as we hop into this matchup. No eliminations just yet, but if Caster Curse comes true, it will come up quickly, and there it is! Panda Squad taking down Diamond Dog first. So that is the main takedown for the Mammoths, quickly followed by Judge taking down Sweaty Pants and Illusion. So that's a two-piece for the Rhine. Panda Squad also getting a two-piece, quickly followed by Pando taking down Radius Boss.
Definitely looks like the Symmetra got more value in the melee range, especially with that first pick on the Reinhardt. Usually, if first pick goes on to Reinhardt, that is a lost fight right there for whoever lost the Reinhardt. And the Flares are in a good position to set this up, especially with that Fire Strike. That buys them an extra maybe 5 seconds for the next hard engage, and Judge is just going in.
Yeah, they got that Mei wall cutting off the rotations, and so this is just where Wall and Maul comes into play. Unable to get the elimination, forcing out the Immortality Field, though. Will give them that slight advantage because that's a cooldown you have to play around, and Judge is looking for that juicy shatter here. They have 4 ultimates charged already to the Mammoth's 1.
Almost 2, because Sweatpants is getting there with the Mei, but it's not quite there. And they're just going to go ahead and wall off, sim wall off that amplification matrix, and then yeet the Blizzard in the room and see what value they can get.
Yeah, another great wall trying to prevent the escape from the Blizzard, but instead Illusion will get the first elimination against Judge, who got a two-piece in that first fight. Both Immortality Fields are going to go down, so Diamond Dog's now going to come in swinging and take down Panda Squad, who got overly aggressive without having that Reinhardt. Hurt's going to have to play a little bit safer next time as we watch not Doofus, D-Mech, and Illusion finish off that baby Diva, who was able to D-Mech the enemy Diva before going down, with Diamond Dog getting one more elimination against C-Squared, but Judge, who now came all the way back, takes down the baby Diva of Radius Boss, but Diamond Dog comes back swinging with that shatter to take down Judge, quickly followed by not Doofus getting a two-piece onto that Lucio and Symmetra, quickly followed by Illusion taking down the Mei, even teleporting back up. Finally, the Mammoths take the point.
Was the shatter necessary? Probably not. Did it feel good? Probably. I just gotta say, when you get the shatter on the enemy Ryan, and especially the elimination comes out, that's gotta feel great, as the next amplification comes out between these two teams.
Yeah, kick off the team fight, but the Flares rotated very quickly out of that. This poor Mei left behind by their team, even as the Flares took the high ground, finally able to rotate around because the Mammoths did not pressure that lone member. So now the Flares just gonna get a two-piece with that shatter just out of proximity for Judge. So the Mammoths are going to try to answer it with the self-destruct in the air, not able to pick one up, but instead Diamond Dog is going to take down Judge, and he tries to go for the shatter, but ends up losing his life before it can hit the ground. Thanks to that Mei, quickly followed by Panda Squad taking down the Lucio. It seems the Flares are trying to take back this point, but with not, if anything, not Doofus has to say anything about it, taking down Pando, but will get cleaned up by the Diva and the Mei, and a great right click by Panda Squad.
That was kind of a little snipey orb there. Good job.
Yeah, so now all pressure is on the Mammoths to get onto point. Seems Diamond Dog's going to have to go flying in. The Blizzard will land right in front of the Diva, who was not able to eat it up with defense measures. Instead, they're just going to throw down that self-destruct and take down Diamond Dog and Mango. Quickly followed by Judge, taking down Sweaty Pants. So Illusion's going to bring out the Death Blossom to take down Pando. The Panda Squad's just been holding left click the whole time and takes him down as soon as he comes out of his Shade ability. Quickly followed by his turret, taking down that baby Diva. Not Doofus able to pick one up, but with Judge shutting him down, that will be map 1 for the Flares.
Of all of the ultimates that we were expecting to get value in that fight, there were some big ones on the board. There was Blizzard, there was Death Blossom. The Bomb ended up getting the double kill. Couldn't eat the Blizzard, but instead is going to eliminate a third of their team. Great job, Diva. And as we watch this replay here, this was just Symmetra doing a little bit of cleanup after the fight had already been won. And we do get to see a really clean little snipe there.
Calculated.
Just calculated. Predicted.
Simple
Fantastic.
geometry, as we used to say.
Simple geometry.
We miss that arrow so much.
Do we?
Hey, we have HOTS. It's fine. It's fine. But looking at this new roster lineup, the Flares changing up their DPS and main tank roles and support roles.
I think the Monkey might be able to get more value on this map just because of his ability to drop the bubble down instead of the ball, but both teams have opted to keep their D.Va, which makes a ton of sense. However, it looks like that D.Va's in a little bit of danger for the ET Flares there.
Yeah, Judge trying to take down that Ana, prevents the high ground. She is very low. Well, Winlow end up escaping as Sweaty Pants takes down Panda Squad. Diamond Dog takes down that baby D.Va who got demech, so this should be the Mammoth's first point. This is the first time we've seen them win the first fight.
And it was done because the Flares were largely split, where none of them could help each other. And running a dive comp is a delicate balance of being split enough so that you're not all in one place, but also you all need to be within range of helping each other.
Yeah, so now the Flares are going to have to regroup and try to have a concisive push against the Mammoths. Illusion now also getting a ton of value in that last fight. Panda Squad playing a very risky game. Will end up just falling off the edge. Trying not to be scouted out, even going straight onto that Ana, exactly what she needs to do. That Ana barely missed that sleep too.
Wasn't even there, was not aware of the Sombra as they dropped there, and Sombra's going to go ahead and hopefully get that elimination onto the Monkey, but not before Diamond Dog's going to eliminate Zondals on the D.Va.
Yeah, finally Panda Squad will get that elimination, quickly followed by Joy taking down Illusion, getting a two-piece no less after demeching the D.Va onto Radius Boss. So this is now the Flares' point.
Sombra's ability to hack has not been utilized to great effect in these fights so far, but her ability to scout out low health enemies has, and it looks like they're just going to go ahead and hack that D.Va right out of spawn just then.
Yeah, she got her down to half health, so that will have to be just a little bit slower play for Radius Boss, who is now getting healed up. And Diamond Dog getting that Discord Orb on him, even Primal Raging. Now the Nano as well onto Radius Boss. These tank players are getting on the aggressive, and Sweaty Pants taking down Pando first, quickly followed by Diamond Dog with that Primal Rage, taking down C Squared. That's no supports. And now Joy with the double Pulse Bomb takes down the Reaper on the Ana, quickly followed by Radius Boss, winning the 1v1. Against that baby D.Va. Now Judge bringing out the mines to take down Radius Boss, quickly followed by Panda Squad, Judge, and Joy, eliminating the remaining members of the Mammoths.
A lot of ultimates came out that fight. The Flares were able to hold, and now at this point, you got to wonder, what do they have for that Reaper ultimate or the D.Va Bomb? I mean, you can just run out of the way of the D.Va Bomb, but all the pressure is on Zondals to attempt to DM that Reaper ultimate that's going to be coming at them this next fight, if Echo doesn't first.
Yeah, so with, as you mentioned, those two ultimates on the side of the Mammoths are what they're going to have to play around with. The duplicate coming online, we know they can capitalize on it from the previous map. But with Panda Squad once again getting the first elimination onto Illusion, that's your main DPS down. This is where they can start popping off as the Sweaty Pants just uses the duplicate on this Tracer. Trying to charge that Pulse Bomb, 24 HP left, was not able to make it and gets eliminated by C Squared. With the Flares playing so close together, they are capitalizing on having this big support so far as she got that elimination, and also having the rally they can use to just sustain. But Radius Boss is going to bring out the self-destruct, not pick one up as Joy takes down Illusion once again, who had just came back from spawn. So now both support souls are going to come out for the Flares, and that have Pulse Bomb, which gets eaten up by Radius Boss, who is soon then demech'd. The Panda Squad's coming in with a Fury, taking down Sweatpants. It's quickly followed by Judge, taking down not Doomfist. There's the EMP, landing onto at least those two members as Diamond Dog still utilizing those Primal Rage to take down Pando. Quickly followed by Joy, taking down Radius Boss, and Bundles taking down that Lucio, who has the barrier, so he's going to have to get back quick to keep his team in the fight. But it seems the Flares will just take map 1.
And the Mammoths definitely had an opportunity there with the Death Blossom to go in that next fight. I mean, Zenyatta can only do so much to stop his team from getting eliminated there with the Transcendence. But that's only if they're all together. So I would say that these next couple of maps are probably going to be more even than that seemed, because it ended up being 100 to 40, which is a relatively even setup between the two teams.
Yeah, so now with the second map being Junkertown, another sniper-favored map, do you think these teams will go for the sniper-heavy maps? Because in the previous map, we didn't really see any snipers. We saw Hanzo once, and that was a pretty clean sweep for or the Meteors.
If they don't run snipers, I would be very interested to see both of these teams attempt to run hybrid brawl dive comps, if that makes any sense, with the dive tanks and supports, but brawl DPS.
Well, this is our matchup of the Esports Towers. Flares taking on the Mammoths. Complete new rosters for our 3 Esports Tower teams. Have to see how they will match up. But with the Flares taking that double sniper setup, that is favoring them on Junkertown, with the Mammoths only bringing a Widow.
And it looks like they were thinking about bringing the Bastion, which also works on Junkertown. Bastion is kind of a niche hero, but Junkertown is one of the ones where you can run them. But I think they saw that Hanzo and didn't necessarily like that. And so Illusion's just going to go ahead and click Panda right in the head there on that Widowmaker, and they're going to do this. Oh my gosh, that's both snipers down for the Flares at the hands of Illusion, who's been a menace on this Widow so far. And you got to think the Mammoths have to come up with a new strategy when both their Flares, excuse me, have to come up with a new strategy when both their snipers go down to the Widow.
Usually 2 heads is better than 1, but instead Illusion just clicking on both heads and comes out of it with the victory. And Panda Squad now swapping over to the Widow, showing Illusion how it's done, taking down not Doomfist and Illusion, quickly followed by Diamond Dog taking down the Panda Squad, and Sweatpants taking down Lucky Chew. Now Judge coming back, as well as Joy taking down 2 more. Diamond Dog takes on Judge. It is constant trades between these 2 teams, but with the Mammoths having that spawn advantage, they should be able to come out of this with the victory. But the Flares setting up, it's continued brawl as Illusion now winning the 1v1s against Joy. Joy is yet to come out on top, but Illusion is watching out for Panda Squad, who just took down Radius Boss. That will be seen because they have the wall hacks.
It looks like this is a Widow v Widow map here, which is always super entertaining for me to watch, at least, as Illusion is going to get knocked off of their high ground. They're looking for the Baptiste, unable to find it there. The Mammoths really need to use some ultimates because they have 3 to the Flares nothing.
Yeah, the Flares did use their Amplification Matrix to try to zone out the Mammoths, and it did work, but Illusion still coming back with a vengeance and takes down Panda Squad, quickly followed by Presto on the support role, taking down Joy, who just got a bit too close to that brick, quickly followed by the Sigma taking down picking up 1, but Sweatpants takes him down, then gets quickly eliminated by Pando. Now Illusion taking down Pando. It is just a domino effect. If you take down 1, I take you down, I get taken down. It's just back and forth. Now Diamond Dog taking down Lucky Joe, and Illusion getting Panda Squad, who's now on the Hanzo again. Panda Squad have yet to choose a consistent DPS to play. Hey, this should be the Mammoth's first checkpoint, and they get it.
And now, at this point, because the Flares decided to touch repeatedly, they don't have the high ground advantage. They're not set up. The Mammoths should be able to tear through this second point relatively easily if Illusions can keep the headshots going here, and especially if they can use their ultimates. A well-placed Gravitic Flux could have this point for them.
Yeah, so once again, it's going to be eyes on the tanks for these ultimates. Both Gravitic Fluxes are actually online. So now Panda Squad getting the first elimination onto Illusion. Immediately, Fulcrum is going to bring out his Gravitic Flux, but end up canceling it because they just ran indoors to hide away from it. Panda Squad picking up the second elimination onto Presto. Now they're bringing out their own Gravitic Flux and the sights and the Amplification Matrix. The Mammoths are finally beginning to press Q, still holding on to that rally, however, as Diamond Dog gets the elimination onto Lucky Chew. That's a support down. The Mammoths can get aggressive here, now bringing out the Bongo, but sadly a bit too far away from his teams to really utilize from it, as not Doomfist and Sweatpants, even without it, don't need it to get the 2-piece. Quickly followed by Judge getting the revenge onto Sweatpants, but Illusion gets finally taken down by Joy, who's now on a 2-piece, taking down Diamond Dog, who just took down Pando. It's consistent trades, but it seems the Flares are holding on.
Joy has finally hit their stride as Ash. It took them first point, but second point is a good time to come alive as any on Junkertown here.
Yeah, so that will force out the Transcendence with Judge falling so low on that Orisa, trying to hold back, even able to take down Sweatpants with the help of Panda Squad. So now the rally is going to come out from Presto, but he doesn't have his team to really back him up, just playing around that Orisa shield the best they can. Now bringing out their own Bongo for the Flares will lead to the elimination of Presto and the Sigma. Panda on a double with Illusion finally shutting down Panda Squad, but Panda is now going to get a triple, taking down the Illusion for his teammate. This Baptiste is a DPS player now.
And that's usually what happens on second point Junkertown with your Baptiste on the high ground. The Flares have now become a monster as fully set up on spam second point Junkertown. This is going to be a nightmare for the Mammoths to get through. And so I anticipate some swaps coming up. We have Sweatpants swapping over to the Echo. We'll see what they'll be able to get here. The Mammoths are going to have to use some ultimates, or Illusion's just going to have to click everybody's head here to try to break this spam comp set up on the high ground.
Yeah, scouting out Presto, who's
Oh my gosh,
very low. Still, you should back off right immediately after that. Still just maintaining the low health. It's just going to have to go pick up that health pack, but it's a battle of the snipers right now. Whoever gets the first pick, that's going to be the fight in their favor. Sweatpants getting very aggressive, will get taken down by Joy, which forces out Panda Squad with the Double Dragons right in that stair hallway, but it is slightly just too low. Instead, he will just get right up in their face and take down Diamond Dog with the help of Fulcrum, taking down not Doomfist and Radius Boss. Illusion now finally picks up one onto Lucky Chew, but it is too little too late as Panda Squad gets the final elimination onto Presto. That's another reset for the Flares.
And this is where a lot of teams get stopped, so the Mammoths will have to come up with something new if they want to beat this. The Gravitic Flux might be enough, especially if they can do it before Lucky Chew can charge their ultimate, but that is unlikely, so they will likely need to pick the Zenyatta if they want that value out of Radius Boss's Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, and with Diamond Dog and not Doomfist really taking the leadership roles for the Mammoths, this is where we want to see them really take the aggressive side, and especially with an opener like that from Illusion out taking down Panda Squad. Make that 2, taking out Joy as well. Diamond Dog picking up one more onto Pando. You have a +3 advantage in this team fight. You want to go all in. We hear the Gravitic Flux come out, but will not pick anyone up. Instead, Sweaty Pants will get a 2-piece onto Judge and Lucky Chew, quickly followed by Illusion now taking down Fulcrum. This should be the checkpoint for the Mammoths.
And it looks like the Flares are going to do a little bit of comp swap. Lucky Chew's going to come out on that Brig. Joy's going to come out of the Tracer, and Panda Squad's going to go back to the Hanzo that they've been having back and forth success on with Illusion's Widowmaker.
Yeah, we have yet to see a really big double dragons coming out from Panda Squad. Instead, they're just getting a lot of good 1v1 eliminations. But Sweatpants tried to get that elimination on Joy, and instead Illusion said, no, that's mine, as they get eliminated by Panda Squad. So it is still even in this fight, but the Flares have the spawn advantage, so Mammoths are going to have to play very safe here as Panda Squad picks up another one with no DPS remaining. He's looking for it, but instead Joy will take it away from him. Quickly followed by Fulcrum, winning the 1v1 against Radius Boss of the Sigmas. So trying to take down those remaining members of the Mammoths, and they get them. So that's a reset.
And it looks like this next engage here, Panda Squad is looking just to Dragons that room because there's nowhere else the Mammoths can come from there. So that would definitely be the play. If a huge Dragons were to come out, it would be there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a risky play with the wall hacks coming on from Illusion now. He's looking for that Widow. He knows she's over there. And you can even hear the sights being active, and he will get taken down even while falling down. That's a headshot. Gravitic Flux is going to land onto 3 members of the Mammoths from Fulcrum, but no one is able to capitalize and get that elimination. Instead, the rally is going to come out from Pestle, but quickly gets stopped as this team's just getting aggressive as Joy just gets a free into the back line onto Illusion, quickly followed by Judge taking down Presto, who got very aggressive in the front line. Now having a Reinhardt to back you up is very risky as a break, as Pando takes down Sweatpants in the sky. This Baptiste has been playing like a DPS player. Now Radius Boss showing Fulcrum how it's done with his own Gravitic Flux, taking down Fulcrum. Now Judge and Panda Squad able to even things out, taking down Not Doomfist, and Diamond Dog Joy taking down Radius Boss, clearing the cart, and that will be it for the push.
And ultimately, that's a really, really good push on these maps. Sometimes teams don't always cap, and that's okay. We'll be able to see if the attacking team will be able to do better. And I'm honestly really invested in this sniper battle between Panda and Illusion, especially just on the Hanzo or Widowmaker versus just the Widowmaker. I would be really surprised if Illusion swapped off of the Widowmaker, just because it did a lot of work for them on all of the available points. There's no reason to swap off.
So now on the defense, 100% expect that Widow to return with how well they were doing. Probably Panda Squad on the Hanzo again, you would hope, because they got value, just maybe not the ultimate value, but they got the individual skill value, whereas Joy on that Ashe was definitely a questionable swapping off. As soon as they were on the Tracer, they started popping off very much more, which is what you want to see from a DPS player. But the Flares on attack taking no barriers other than that Brig.
And I do think that the Brig didn't get as much value as maybe they had hoped, just because playing Brig in a comp that's that spread out is very, very difficult anyway, and it's especially difficult when you can't cross any sight lines because there's a Widow looking at you. So I would hope that maybe the Flares might see the Widow again and swap off that Brig and that Zenyatta there, who have both been weak to illusions on the Widowmaker.
Yeah, so Illusion's going to kick things off with an elimination onto that Brig, showing her exactly why you shouldn't be playing a Brig into a Widow with no frontline tanks to try to cover you. And he's going to win that sniper battle against Panda Squad, who had just eliminated his own Brig. So both Widows are just out for blood against these Brigs, sadly. He tried to take down Pando, falling very low, but will pick him up. So now Judge is going to go right into his face and take him off that high ground, but will not get the elimination. Flair's going to have to play a little bit safer, not having Pando. Wait for the sky shot, and instead Panda Squad's going to take down Illusion, just perfectly setting up that headshot. It's the Battle of the Snipers is going to be the title of this matchup as Judge takes down the Immortality Field of Not Doomfist.
And it looks like the Baptiste won that sniper duel, or at least got the Widowmaker to back off there. So Panda Squad a little bit scared of that Baptiste, definitely, and should be scared of Illusion there at the respawn, going to go ahead and click that head, immediately going to click Lucky Chew as well. And at this point,
that's a triple.
That's a triple on the Widowmaker with the assist from the Orisa.
Tried to get a quad, but Doomfist took it away.
Not Doomfist is going to go ahead and take that last one there.
Ooh.
You got it at this point. You got to stop going for the jump shot.
Illusion has gone for the jump shot and immediately taken down by Panda Squad.
Gotten sniped out of the air by Panda Squad, who is ready for it. Hope they will not be able to do the same thing to the Echo, however, who peeks, sees the Widow, and immediately runs away.
Has a bit more maneuverability in the air.
Understandable.
So now just looking for that one extra pick to give him the advantage in the fight. Do have the whole hog online for this next fight.
Panda Squad wants it, and you got to think Sweatpants is kind of playing with fire here as they peek the enemy Widowmaker.
That's where the jump spam actually comes in handy to deny the headshots, but instead now Doomfist will get first blood against Lucky Chew. Crystal followed by Joy with the pulse bomb, taking down Pestle. Oh, but now Panda Squad finally wins against Sweatpants. Illusion got way too aggressive there, and Panda Squad just takes advantage of it. And with Joy now on a triple, taking down Diamond Dog and not Doomfist, who had just taken down Pando.
Panda Squad is popping off on this Widowmaker. Illusion can't be in the air and has lost the last several duels with Panda Squad here on that Widowmaker. They're going to go ahead and pick the Echo, and at this point the Mammoths are set up without their Echo on this second point here, and it looks like Brig might be another elimination here.
Illusion once again just pushed way too far up.
It looks like they actually won't be able to get set. He's going to go ahead and miss the jump. We're not going to talk about that.
He wishes he was Hanzo.
He wishes he was Hanzo, definitely.
Once again, looking for that Baptiste as Judge actually gets the elimination against that Baptiste, but Sweatpants is there with the refrag for his teammate, taking down Judge. Flair's taking a lot of space here, even having one person on the cart. This is the pro strats we want to see from these players, just taking advantage of that space with the Mammoths not having regrouped yet.
The Mammoths haven't gotten to set up on this second point, and that's going to cost them a lot of time, because if you approach third point with 3 minutes left, that's going to almost certainly spell defeat for the Mammoths here on defense.
Yeah, now they're +1 in this fight, taking down Joy, but quickly evened out as Panda Squad takes down Illusion now, who swapped over to the Tracer, giving up on that Widow, who's just getting way too aggressive. Instead, Judge will get the elimination onto Sweatpants, who also got overly aggressive, chasing that one elimination. We gotta remember, objective is greater than kills. Now not Doomfist taking down Fulcrum over on the Roadhog as Pando takes down Pestle on that break. Now the Gravitic Flux coming out for the Mammoths, not going to lead to elimination. Instead, Judge is going to get the melee onto not Doomfist, quickly followed by Diamond Dog taking down Panda Squad, and Judge getting a second onto Radius Boss, followed by Sweatpants taking down Lucky Chew. Now Pando taking down Illusion. Now Judge taking down Diamond Dog. It is constant trades back and forth between the two teams. Sweatpants even duplicated onto the Wrecking Ball, not unable to get the elimination. Instead gets eliminated by Joy, and that's the second checkpoint for the Flares.
We got to think at some point that these Brigs might want to be swapping off. They're not getting a ton of value, either one of them, against, especially against the Widowmaker and the Sniper, especially Lucky Chu. You got to wonder at this point if maybe a hero swap could be in order, because they're not getting a ton of value on that Brig. Prestel at least has the ultimate that they might be able to use this next fight, but the Mammoths have been playing pretty spread.
Especially with not Doomfist just picking up that elimination.
Oh my gosh.
Is a +1 in the fight. Now the Flares +2 in this fight, taking down Radius Boss and Pestle as the respawns coming back for them. Not Doomfist now taking down Panda Squad. Not Doomfist has just been a consistent DPS on this Baptiste, just helping the Mammoths continue through their defense here. But now Judge throwing down the mines right on top of the cart, forcing them to hold a little bit further back on the car as he gets the elimination against Illusion now. Now the whole hog coming out for Fulcrum as Pando gets the elimination onto Sweatpants. Going all in on Diamond Dog, but forcing out the Bonga means he will get eliminated by Not Doomfist, is following the elimination of said Bonga. But Panda Squad finally able to take down Not Doomfist, who has just been such a carry for his team. Pando also getting the elimination onto Pestle, but Sweatpants trying to even things out, taking down Panda Squad as they had just got back from the respawn. Now the rally coming out, and that will be it. The Flares take Junkertown.
Just as we were talking whole map about the Brig not getting value, the Brig got huge value, just that final fight. Enough to charge a single rally in a fight, which was absolutely an amazing job done by them.
Yeah, so the Flares will come at it, which means they will be heading on to take on the Meteors in that winner's bracket. Well, if you want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured Rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure, or if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. So the Flares come out on top of the Mammoths and join the Meteors at 1-0. So we will wrap up the night with the Meteors taking on the Flares, who are the two undefeated teams squaring off. Which ones do you think will come out on top?
I think it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for the Flares to try to take out the Meteors, but obviously if there's anybody that can do it, I think it's probably the Flares, just because of that showing that we just saw there. I think they're going to need to group up a bit more and recognize when a fight is lost, because there were a lot of times when both of these teams would be down 2, but then their sniper would get some amazing picks and then they would be able to win the fight, and that's just not gonna work against the Meteors as far as we've seen.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see who can truly come out on top for the first ever Esports Tower Spring Overwatch Rumble. So make sure to stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back into this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We are broadcasting it here from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Both the Meteors and the Flares have won their round 1 matchups and now will square off for the end of the night. So who will move on to 2-0 and who will drop down to the 1-1 heading into next week? I am still your host, Brendan Bear-Ladd, and joined with me to call all of the action is Colby D'Angelo Alloway. So now with the Meteors taking on the Flares, you thought the Meteors are going to come away with it, but the Flares definitely are showing potential.
Something that I want to highlight before we get into the game, because I expect it to be a big deal, is Panda versus Bonesaw. I think those are going to be some of the big players to watch on DPS for both teams. You're going to want to see how those two interact with each other and which one is able to get more value. Because as far as we've seen, both of them play a relatively wide array of heroes that can counter each other and win entire maps, I mean in Bonesaw's case, and I think Panda is going to be the best bet there to try to stand in Bonesaw's way.
Well, with this being the final match of the Rumble, let's go ahead and take a refresher at the event card of what we have to look forward to for this final match of the Esports Tower Rumble first week of spring. Got to remember, this is a 6v6. This is not Overwatch 2 just yet. And this is going to be a best of 5 with the map order going Control, Escort, Hybrid, Assault. And if we get to a map 5, we're going to be heading back to Control. The players are going to need all the help they can get. So let's also give them our Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch. Of course, that means to never take a fair fight, but what does that mean? To take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared, and of course, tempo, tempo, tempo. These are presented today by the Esports Tower, where you can score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll be matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. So this is our match taking on the Flares versus the Meteors, with the first map going to be Nepal, actually.
Which is standard on the Control maps. And this first map on Nepal will be telling, I think, for the rest of the maps. Because I think with these two teams, I think we're going to know pretty quickly if the Flares have what it takes to take down the Meteors or if they don't.
Yeah, so we'll be ready to jump into this matchup of the Flares taking on the Meteors. Who's going to move forward to that 2-0 slide? Who's going to be dropping down to that 1-1? So as we wrap up our first night of the Week 1 Spring Rumble, Flares and Meteors square off to see who will be the last undefeated team. Also, both teams are looking very strong in their first games with the new lineups. So how will they do now that they have some experience playing together of those first 2 matches? We'll have to wait and see. Walk us through these lineups, which is something new we've seen, and a new map for Nepal.
The Flares have a significant problem. They have much lower healing than the Mammoths right now here.
Yeah, and with the first elimination going over to the Mammoths, taking down Joy from the Flares, Judge even ends up falling off the edge.
Oh, no.
That environmental elimination just means the Mammoths are off to a strong start. I believe that is actually the Meteors in the red, with Not Lost taking down BBQ, no longer on the tank role, now actually on the DPS role.
BBQ was the price there, but ultimately for a 1 fight there, as they're going to go up 8% on the point. And the Flares are just trying to get some value and some poke in. They're going to get the pick onto the Baptiste, which is huge.
Yeah, Joy getting a lot of value
There
on
it
this Ash
is.
this time around. Not a repeat of Junker Down, very warmed up. Followed by Panda Squad getting a 2-piece as well onto Frozen Phoenix and Chum's Bomb. And that's a team wipe for the Flares.
A team wipe, mostly at the hands of Joy there. They did a lot of spam and they got eliminations onto both of their supports. So maybe the healing difference might not be as problematic as I initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Meteor's also having a little bit of issue with their tanks trying to hold that front line, but instead BBQ's going to just give them that little +1 in this fight, taking down Joy. So Panda Squad's going to throw out that pulse bomb to try to even things out, but will end up missing it. Instead, Judge is going to go right into them with the mines, quickly followed by Fulcrum using the Gravitic Flux to take down the Baptiste. But BBQ, before he gets eliminated, uses his post-mortem to take down Judge. But instead, Panda Squad's going to come back with a vengeance, gets a 2-piece, and the Flares hold on to the point.
We gotta wonder if Judge on the ball is a good idea because they've done 2 things so far. One of them is fall off the map. The second is die to Junkrat bombs. At that point, maybe it's time for a hero swap. You're right, they did ult.
Yeah, so now the Meteors are just going to go running into the Flares and get a 2-man shatter, forcing out Not Lost to bring out the Transcendence, even get pinned, but manages to stay alive, just barely edging him out with those last few seconds of the Transcendence, keeping him alive. But Delirious is going to pick up one before he gets eliminated by Panda. Quick followed by Panda Squad, taking down Frozen Phoenix. It's now getting a 2-piece, taking down BBQ. Flares hold on to the point. But now Chum's Bomb coming back with the Diva Bomb, able to take down Fulcrum. This is the Blizzard now coming out for Blank. Zoning out the Flares, trying to contest the point the best they can, almost knocking Panda Squad off the edge of the map, but instead he will get knocked off, has the boosters just in time to keep himself alive. Now Delirious is going to bring out the Sound Barrier to keep his team in the fight. Now also the Amplification Matrix coming out from the real Evans, leading to the elimination of Judge. But now Panda Squad and Pando and Joy on a double elimination. That's another team kill for the Flares.
So actually, Map 1 does look like it's been pretty determinant on which team is going to win, but it actually is going the opposite of the way initially expected, where the Flares are rolling over the Meteors here, and Joy has been the DPS to watch. It definitely seems like Joy is a completely different player when they don't have to worry about getting their head blown off by a Widowmaker.
Yeah, also BBQ not on the tank roll, still able to carry his weight, but not nearly as much as they were able to do when they were playing that Reinhardt. So maybe we could see that swap back, or it was the coach's decision to have them on the DPS. Now Blank back on the Sombra.
And Junkrat is a hero that gets a lot of value in those close quarters. I think if they stick on that Junkrat, they will struggle to get values, especially if they go on the more wide open paths. I think the play for the Meteors here is to go straight to point and not give it up until the whole team is gone. Whereas the Flares are taking a slightly more distant approach, but still pretty brawling.
Yeah, Blank even playing from Europe, still able to excel this well with all the ping issues. It's just how well they're as a player. But with Joy getting the first elimination against BBQ, who immediately gets taken down by the real Evan, things are even. But they did lose their main DPS, whereas the Flares still are holding on to Panda Squad with this Petra, so they can continue to push forward, and he pushes too far as he gets taken down by Chum's Bum. Followed by Judge demeching Chum's Bumps, and Frozen Phoenix going right in onto Pando, taking down that Lucio. Oh, the Shatter charged very quickly as BBQ was going to capitalize on it, taking down Judge and Not Lost, with Frozen Phoenix finishing up Fulcrum with Joy able to take up one before he's eliminated.
20% is ultimately a good amount of point percentage to give up. Less than optimal to give them that, but especially if you're winning the fight, and Frozen Phoenix definitely handed them that fight on the back of an extremely well-placed Shatter, and now at this point it's going to be up to the Meteors Baptiste to Amp Matrix from high ground on the approach here, which it looks like they did just a little bit too late, so now we'll see what they can do on the point.
Yeah, able to wall off the Reinhardt from his team, so it forces out the Mortality Field. Shatter did come out, but did not land onto anybody. He, as Panda, takes down Blank, quickly followed by Fulcrum, taking down Delirious. Real Evan takedowns Judge, quickly followed by Panda Squad, taking down Frozen Phoenix. The DPS Baptiste doing his best to eliminate Panda Squad, who will get eliminated by Pando. Finally, Fulcrum brings it back, takes down BBQ. It has continued to brawl on the point, but it is the Flares' point.
That is definitely not something you want to do as Baptiste when someone ints into you on the duel and you can't walk into your team members. You can't just give up the duel. They're not just going to leave you alone because you're not looking at them anymore. They're going to eliminate you.
Yeah, so now with the ults in heavy favor of the Flares, they're going to kick things off with the Deadeye. I missed the wall, so going to wombo combo with the Amplification Matrix, but ends up just line of sighting him. But Judge is going to get right into the backline onto BBQ. Once again, first eliminated in these team fights kind of consistently is an issue the Meteors need to address as Judge gets the second elimination onto Chuma's Fama after they are demeched. Quickly followed by Panda Squad taking down the real Evan, Pando taking down Blank, Fulcrum taking down Frozen Phoenix. That's another reset for the Meteors.
And they still have grab. The Flares still have grab to throw at them this next fight. They're going to be a little bit wary of doing so because of Chuma's foam on that Diva, just the ability to completely negate that ultimate. It'll be up to this next fight whether the Flares can get a better grab or the Meteors can get a better Blizzard.
Yeah, so they're going to kick things off with the Blizzard and the Tire and the Shatter. Meteors throwing every Q they got other than both supports, and it's paying off for them. Finally, BBQ's now the first eliminated in the fight. Instead, takes down Judge, then the Cole Cassidy, then the Symmetra, then and the Zarya. Now the Baptiste, so close to that team kill. They want it, and they'll get it.
The Flares are now in the favorable position of 99 to 33 and still climbing, and they have grab and shatter. These are definitely ultimates that they can just use to win a fight by themselves. We've seen the Flares do it already. That's how they initially got the point, is a well-placed shatter. And the Meteors have B for one of those ultimates, but only one.
So it's going to be take down the Lucio first, and with him down to 3rd HP, that's a good start for them. But they were unable to secure it. Both supports actually falling very low. Baptiste even throws up the Immortality Field, but wasn't in the radius of it. So he will get taken down by Judge. So now the Shatter and the Grab are going to come out, and that's a near team wipe for the Flares, taking down the Meteors. With that, the Diva's unable to get back to the point, and that is map 1 headed over to the Flares.
And that's about what you expect when your Baptiste is eliminated first, but honestly, that fight was super one-sided going into it just because of the grab and the shatter held by the Flares.
So now headed over to map 2, which is already decided as Rialto. What are you hoping to see from the Meteors to kind of bring back their momentum that we saw them have in Game 1?
As affectionately as possible, your Junkrat needs to stop feeding and getting eliminated first. Just as affectionately as possible. They got value sometimes for going in as hard as they did. And there are some DPS where you can absolutely get away with that. The Flares are not letting you. At this point, it's time for a switch up.
Yeah, definitely stuck in that comp for Nepal, so hopefully they'll be able to improve it on Rialto. As a reminder, this is our matchup for the finals of this week 1 of the Spring Rumble, with the Meteors taking on the Flares. Both are 1-0 right now. We'll have to wait and see who will stay undefeated. For Rialto, who do you hope to see defend first?
I think if the Junkrat is going to get value, they're going to do more. They're going to get more of that on defense just because of how intense this first chokehold can sometimes be.
But no Junkrat.
But there is no Junkrat, so that's definitely good job there. And it actually looks like BBQ has been swapped out for Bonesaw, who's a fearsome DPS player. And I don't know that the Flares are 100% ready for Bonesaw to pop out on that Symmetra, because they were one of the players that we were wanting to highlight before this whole thing went in.
Yeah, Bonesaw has already emerged as a leader for this team, from shot calling to mechanics to teaching new teammates a strategy on the fly. So hopefully we'll see the Meteors come back with a new invigorated fire, whereas the Flares are sticking with the comp that they know.
Oh my gosh.
Zondel is actually getting first eliminated by Frozen Phoenix, quickly followed by Bonesaw getting taken down by Panda Squad. So it is even for these two fights, but losing a tank like that can be very dangerous, especially on the defense, trying to take down that teleporter quickly, but Meteors are aggressive and take down Fulcrum as well.
Panda Squad on the Hanzo strikes again. That Baptiste has not turned to the Hanzo, and that might end up spelling their demise here.
Just
Panda
like
Squad can hit him, which they finally did with that clean little headshot there. And Lucio's walking right up to the Hanzo. I don't know what Delirious expected.
Ooh. Battle between the Mei, falling very low, but she can heal and he can. Unable to secure that headshot because she moved away just too quickly. But those two members are now all out by their lonesome. They have to rotate back to the team, and The Flares could definitely capitalize on these rotations. They do have the full health shield to rotate around and the Baptiste heals, but look how far the card's gone just because the Flares had to go for that reset. But also Panda Squad with the double dragons could just swing this next fight in their favor.
Or Panda Squad with just a couple well-placed headshots in the case of what he did to both Sports last fight.
So there comes the double dragons, does not get the elimination. Instead, Fulcrum will get the first elimination against Frozen Phoenix, quickly followed by Joy with the Deadeye taking down Bonesaw. Zonals takes down the Holy Chub, quickly followed by Panda Squad taking down Joe. Joy actually gets the elimination with the flashbang.
And Fulcrum will be back for this next engage, but they'll have to play a little bit further back, or they can just fully commit to the aggression and probably have to use an ultimate. But with Gravitic Flux almost online and Amplification Matrix online, you got to think this next fight is going to go the way of the Flares, unless the Meteors get a huge Blizzard. Or Shadow.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be playing around those two. Also, Joe's going to kick things off with the Blizzard, and it will secure Fulcrum, but he does have the Immortality Field, but that will not save him from the Shatter from Frozen Phoenix, and Bonesaw just holding left click, burning them down. Able to get a two-piece, and Joe picks up Joy as well. Panda Squad still one of the few remaining members of his team alive, and of course, as soon as I say that, he gets taken down Bonesaw, who's now on a penta, getting 5 eliminations and continuing to push forward. Hopefully they do not get too overly aggressive as they throw down their wall and get the first checkpoint for their team.
Bonesaw's still running into the enemy team, getting those eliminations. And now this next fight, I think, is going to come up to, if the ET Flares want to keep pushing, they're going to have to get a big Shatter, most likely. Or Amplification Matrix on the cart, but that can be easily line-of-sight.
Yeah, also double dragons coming online, quickly followed by the barrier and the Deadeye. So perfect Maywall gets him stuck in the roof between the pillar. And Panda Squad with the double dragons now getting value, takes down the Reinhardt, and even uses the speed to take down Joe. With the help of Fulcrum taking down the real Evan, now the Holy Chub able to at least pick up Joy with the help of Delirious, also taking down Panda Squad. So it is still consistent trades with the Meteors still holding the high ground.
If you're going to attempt to go high ground in a push, usually you want to do it with more than just 3 people, though it seems to have worked out for them in this case.
Shatter attempt will be missed, and Fulcrum falling very low. Immortality Field unable to keep him alive for that long as it is burned down, with Boneside getting that elimination, but Panda Squad gets the refrag for his teammate, quickly followed by Joy taking down the Diva, who is sadly demeched and unable to charge it in time. So they're still trying to fight on point. They are +1 in this fight with Diva just now respawning, but it seems that they're just going to have to back up and regroup.
Especially getting that elimination onto the Baptiste. That push is over for the Meteors here, and now the Flares will have the opportunity to get some picks if they can, but also to set up most likely on this high ground, which is definitely in their best interest. So the Meteors are walking in next fight, likely into a Gravitic Flux or an Amplification Matrix from the high ground. What they need to do to circumvent that is probably a Lucio ult.
Yeah, both teams having the Lucio ults to maintain in this fight. Once again, it's going to be a battle of the indoor high ground for both these teams, and neither trying to take that aggressive push. Definitely Meteors playing around Bonesaw on the Symmetra, but gonna Diva Bomb in the backline to force them them to fight indoors, and Panda Squad's gonna get the first elimination onto that baby Diva who was unable to remake in time. Now Frozen Phoenix picking up one onto Zondals, forcing out the wall from the Symmetra. Both Shatters coming out here, unable to land and lead to eliminations as Boneside gets eliminated by Fulcrum, but now the real Evan gets the refrag as Joy gets the refrag onto the real Evan. Make that 2 as he takes down Frozen Phoenix. Joe having to use the ice block, accepting their fate, getting eliminated by Joy, and Flares win the fight.
And that is a little bit to be expected. The Meteors were walking into high ground and didn't necessarily have a whole lot to use there, but it didn't go the way we thought it would, and I have to wonder why the Flares are holding on to that Gravitic Flux so long.
As well as the sound barrier. They didn't use it to try to maintain in the fight. The Meteors holding on to it the whole time. They're going to have to play around this Blizzard phenomenally.
I think they're holding on to the sound barrier exactly for the Blizzard that the Meteors have, actually, and I think that Blizzard would be almost optimal right now.
Yeah, good opener with the Double Dragons. Got +1 in this fight. Make that +2 with Fulcrum taking down Frozen Phoenix. Now Lucky Chew taking down Bonesaw. Diva demeched and taken down by Fulcrum. Meteors have to reset again. They haven't been able to get a solid push for the second checkpoint.
And it does look like some swaps are coming out. Hopefully the Flares are able to scout that Doomfist. Otherwise, Bonesaw is going to wreak havoc in that room with the one-shot elimination combo there that Doomfist is capable of. And at this point, the Flares have weathered the Mail. There's really no reason for them not to use the Lucio ult aggressively, or maybe for a lot of burst damage that the Meteors could put out.
It doesn't help that the Meteors keep going for the same route again and again and again, just letting the Flares always know where they're going to come from. But with a great wall and maul are going to lead to the elimination of Fulcrum and Joy with the help of that amplification matrix from the Baptiste. So now the sound barrier is going to come out from Delirious to keep his remaining teammates alive, but so is the Flares and their own amplification matrix. Fulcrum still holding on to that shatter, is finally going to use it, but that was Frozen Phoenix's. But the Flares are still alive, so now they're going to bring out their own shatter onto multiple members of the Meteors, and they came back with a vengeance and win it.
Panda Squad, that fight was almost lost, and then Panda Squad decided, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the double kill, and that just gave his team a chance, and they definitely followed up on that.
Yeah, so now with the Flares up 2 to Meteors 0, and this being a best of 5, this is match point for them. So the Meteors have an uphill battle, and with the final map being King's Row, the most played map that everyone knows, who are you expecting to come out on top?
Honestly, pushing just around that first corner, it's not a very good push. Most teams get stopped around that high ground if they can't do anything, but it definitely puts them in an uncomfortable position, having essentially a first point hold and then a second point hold. They only have 2 distinct points from which they can hold, and this is their first one that will almost surely get broken. I mean, most of these teams, they almost always get past first point. Having to defend second point instead of third is going to put a lot of pressure on the defenders here.
But the Meteors are going to play around that Pharmacy Wombo combo as well as the Torb, so it seems that they want to go for a very hard defense on the high ground, as you mentioned.
The Meteors' plan is to spam out from the high ground, and honestly, that's the best plan that they have, considering they only have 2 opportunities to do that high ground. The Flares are probably expecting this, so the Meteors will have to watch out for Panda Squad's Hanzo. I would say that that has been their biggest barrier here, because just when they think they want to fight, Panda Squad pops up.
Biggest barrier? See what she did there.
Uh-huh.
So now with the double barrier for the Meteors, Bonesaw gets first blood, already forcing the Flares to kind of slow their pace for sure, but Card getting a lot of progress already directly beneath them. Could see them drop down from the high ground. Joe's definitely tunnel visioning right now onto that Lucio.
Oh my gosh.
Finally does get it with the help of that Pharmacy combo, because one rocket did land right on his face. Panda Squad out in the open with no barriers, gonna have to back right off.
Unless Panda Squad is able to get picks here, it will probably require an ultimate for them to break this current spam hold on the high ground.
Yeah, we see 3 members of the Flares directly underneath, trying to contest that high ground, but unable to push up the stairs just yet. Able to take down the turret, so that is technically +1 in this fight, because the turret is definitely someone you want to watch out for. But Panda Squad, even with the Pocket Mercy, is able to take down Bonesaw as well as Delirious. So now +2 in this fight. Definitely you want to see the Flares get as aggressive as possible. Even 3 people on the cart to push it that much quicker. Panda Squad now on a triple to take down Joe, with C-Squared finishing off the Sigma, Fulcrum taking down the Baptiste, and the Orisa. That's practically a team kill, just offset by the spawn timers.
We called it just before the fight. It was either going to be the Panda Squad picks or an ultimate. And now Bonesaw is back trying to get some damage in with that Mercy pocket there. Bonesaw, at this point, you got to play a little bit more carefully. Play rooftops better so that you don't fall victim to Panda Squad, who...
I don't think he even knew she was there.
I don't think so either. He definitely didn't look like he knew.
In front of your face, and you're just like, nah, I'm going to shoot people on the ground. It's fine. But he does get eliminated by Frozen Phoenix, so that does look well for the Meteors to continue holding them before they take this first checkpoint, but they did take it, sadly.
This is not a very good place for the Meteors to hold right now, because they are directly in front of the spawn.
So the ultimate will come out from Panda Squad. Now the Gravitic Flux will come out, land onto, I believe, at least 1 member. Bonesaw is going to use the barrage in the back lane, but quickly eliminated by Panda Squad with that scouting arrow, no less. but the Sigma is able to at least take down Fulcrum, who is very separated from his team. As you mentioned, Meteor is still holding very forward.
And the reason holding here is a bad idea for their specific comp is they won't get back in time to be able to hold that high ground that's behind them that is their potential win condition.
You know he's looking for a Deadeye.
He wants it. He wants it.
They do get the Molten Core and the Valkyrie out from the Meteor, so they have no ults remaining to defend from this Deadeye. But losing the Lucio and Fulcrum, with Joe getting a 2-piece, Frozen Phoenix also getting a 2-piece, taking down Joy, who dropped down from the high ground. Meteors have to the Flares have to reset once again, and they have spawn advantage. Look how much time the Meteors have been just burning off the clock.
But now the ultimate economy is massively in the side of the Flares, and if they win this next fight, it's unlikely.
Squad first.
Which makes it much less likely that they're going to win this fight. Panda Squad gets eliminated, Flares push is done. That's the trend here.
Yeah, also losing that Sigma is not looking good, but they're about to have all 6 ultimates, and so you hope that they have the restraint to only use 2, maybe 3 of them, just not overcommit everybody pressing Q and just multiples getting whiffed because the team was already wiped.
Flares can easy win this with 3 ultimates here to win the fight and then 3 ultimates on the staggered recontest.
But once again, one of the tank players pushes too far up all by their lonesome, and with Bonesaw with the Pocket Mercy just having a field day being uncontested means the Flares can't push.
Panda Squad's got to get the elimination on either the Pharah or the Mercy before his team will be able to push. Because or Joy can also get the elimination there, or even Lucky Chew on the Baptiste does a devastating amount of damage as we've seen before. And I think this left-hand flank here, at least it's something different.
Yeah, so far
That's not
3
good.
ultimates have come out from the Flares. And now the Meteors are going to answer with their own of the Barrage, getting a triple. Now the Gravitic Flux getting a 2-piece. And Delirious, even the Battle Mercy coming out. Love you that much more for it. Takes down Fulcrum, and that's a team kill. And the Flares still holding on to 3 ults even after losing the fight.
The Meteors just ulted better, but now that we see Panda Squad on the Soldier 76, a much easier hero to eliminate a Pharmercy, considering the way the Pharmercy has played, if they don't scout that Soldier, I think they get eliminated pretty quickly here.
There's only 1:30 remaining for the Flares to take this second point. So the pressure is on for them to just continue this push forward. They're going to sit right on top of them and the Shatter, with the C-Squared getting a double boop elimination on both tanks, no less. Even eliminating both the Immortality Fields. Delirious bringing out the Valkyrie just to try to keep his teammates alive. Joe brings out the Molten Core to take down Fulcrum, but gets quickly eliminated by C-Squared, with Panda Squad finally getting the victory against that Pharmacy with the help of Zondals, taking down Delirious, and now the card is moving.
And see, the Meteors are going to have a really hard time getting set up before the Flares are ready to take the fight. And that's the danger of holding that aggressively. They got 3 minutes off the clock, but now they're in a really difficult position where they need to win this fight, where they might not have everybody.
Yeah, and definitely play of the game has to go over to C-Squared for the double boop onto both tanks, just immediately swinging that fight in their favor. But Panda Squad falling very low, trying to contest that high ground. Needs to get the elimination onto that Pharmacy as both the Bongo and the Amplification Major come out, but instead Bones is just going to get a triple onto the members of the Flares, quickly followed by the Sigma taking down Joy, so that's a quad. Seems the Flares just have to reset here as the Meteors have taken a very strong defense after getting wiped.
And they don't even get time to touch. Bonesaw pops off, and so they got the opportunity.
Brings out the Barrage to finish off the remaining stragglers, and that should be it for the Flares, sending us to a map 3 here for this matchup, and Meteors able to take it.
And that was ultimately a map that came down to a couple pretty significant plays individually, I would say. First of all, that hold in front of their spawn doors for 3 minutes, absolutely phenomenal. It almost seemed like there was nothing the Flares could do to break that, just because they tried a lot of different things, and they were unable to do any of those because most of the time they were like down 2 before the fight could even start. But they did end up being able to pull out something that the Meteors weren't expecting and get out of that hold, which is why holds like that are a little bit dangerous. But then Bonesaw popped off and just kind of saved the game for them there.
Yeah, the Flares definitely having a huge issue of sending the tank forward first, gets eliminated, kind of had to reset the fight. Panda Squad staying to the Hanzo for probably a little bit too long, not able to capitalize, taking down Bonesaw and Delirious much sooner. But as soon as they went over to Soldier 76, fight was in their favor.
That was one of the other just very minor things, not to pick on Panda Squad at all, because they've been a phenomenal DPS. If they had swapped to Soldier 76 faster, they would have had the visor. And that point where just before Bonesaw popped off, they were both over the rooftops, both Pharah and Mercy, and they could have easily been visor down, but he was still 89 to it, and so he couldn't do that.
There was also the issue of earlier of he was just looking at the ground and she was just flying in his face and got the 2-piece, and you're just like, tunnel vision issue, but
happens to the best of us.
Oh, of course. Sometimes you're just like, I want you to die. And you're just like, well, what about the person in front of you? Like, no, that person.
No,
dead.
the other
I
person
have a target.
In particular.
But immediately taking the high ground, very clean rotations, haven't lost a member yet. And of course, as soon as I say that, they lose the Diva mech. And the Immortality Field, so that's another cooldown. Bonesaw with this Pharmacy continuing, but now Blank also on the Hanzo, going to try to show Panda Squad how it's done, who's now on the Colt Cassidy, with Joy taking on the role of the Mei. They tried to go for the wall and maul, you know, kind of typical full King's Row brawl, whereas the Flares are going for poke, and a great barrage so early on is going to lead to a double for Bonesaw. Make that a triple as they take down Judge. Frozen Phoenix getting a 2-piece. That's a reset for the Meteors.
They weren't ready. They definitely weren't ready. And because of how long that fight took, and because of it'll be unlikely that they'll be able to take another fight before the Flares members that are gone return.
Bonesaw charged that barrage way too quickly.
Fast.
With the amount of poke they were getting and direct rocket hits, should definitely be something that you immediately say, all right, we need to start countering this immediately. Whereas Zondals just went right on to the Orisa to get that elimination, with quickly followed by Blank taking down the Baptiste, and Judge getting the counter pick onto the enemy Baptiste. They kept that point very quickly.
And honestly, that elimination on the Bonesaw is what let them get that point after the Mercy had already rezzed, and Delirious getting picked right there does not bode well for the rest of their team there.
Yeah, this is the strat for King's Row. You take that first point while you wait for the card to spawn. You just get as aggressive as you can to try to take that second point, and the Meteors excelled at it.
I'm pretty sure the Mei just took the health pack from the 53 HP Ryan, and that's gotta feel bad.
Typical Mei player. Typical Mei player. No surprise there.
At this point, if you're the attackers, you want to be as aggressive as you physically can, because you have the flares on the backup here, and Judges pushed
He has that shadow. He's looking for it.
It's a terrible idea to leave your Baptiste to be the one on cart duty, though. And it looks like their Baptiste has pushed up, which is good, because that Reinhardt definitely needs support.
It's the Diva on the cart. Definitely a risky play having your off tank not hold the front line with Judge, who's very low. But look at all, they have 5 ults they're holding on to, and now the Flares are just getting engaged with their gravitic flux, not landing onto anybody. But Bonesaw is able to demech the Diva, throwing down the Amplification Matrix immediately, even throwing the Double Dragons in the backline, preventing the Shatter.
Oh, get Bones. Get him!
As soon as it hits down. So much passion on this side as Bonesaw throws out the barrage to take down Panda Squad, but was eliminated by not lost, as the real Evan trades out, getting taken down by Pando before he eliminates one more. Pando now on a 2-piece, taking down Blank. Meteors might, or the Flares might have one more chance to recontest this second checkpoint, but they have to go as fast as possible. Seems they might just
Doesn't look like they're going to, especially because Chuma's Foam got eliminated. That Orisa's just going to back up as far as they possibly can because they can see that Reinhardt coming on them.
Blank swapping over to the Junkrat is a good choice, especially with Bonesaw continuing to pop off as they take down Pando, but get eliminated by a Panda Squad. Delirious is there with the res as they are quickly eliminated by the Diva. So good coordination on the side of the Meteors as Panda Squad eliminates Bonesaw again. Quickly followed by Blank taking down Judge, Frozen Phoenix taking down Panda Squad. That should be a reset for the Meteors, but it seems they are continuing to brawl even down multiple members.
It looks like they're just trying to poke at this point, and really, they just need to get out, and it looks like Zondal's got that memo, and they're just going to go ahead and fly into the skybox there to get out. And at this point, if you're the Meteors, you want to just walk on them with the Rhine, but that's incredibly difficult, especially now that they have that Junkrat spam.
Yeah, Blank able to take down Pando just buys them that much more time, but they got 330 on the board, so the Flares do have a long time to try to hold them back here. And Delirious still on the Mercy with no Pharah stuck on the ground, so you know she's just waiting to play around that Valkyrie. Could be dangerous for their team.
And the Valve could potentially be a lethal ultimate as they push in here if they damage boost.
Battle Mercy? Is it time for Battle Mercy? As the self-destruct comes out from Zondals, picks up one on T'Challa's thumb. And now the Meteors are just rolling into them, taking down Bonesaw, Blank, Frozen Phoenix, the real Evan, now Delirious as well. Didn't even have a chance to use the Valkyrie. Might be time to swap and just give it up.
Pando got eliminated by the Death Mines there, and that's a little bit of a rip in the chat there, but Pando will be back more than in time for his team to take this fight here. We gotta do something about this Gravitic Flux.
Tries to use it on the Deadeye Cole Cassidy of Panda Squad, but is quickly eliminated as Blank just has to jump off the edge, or maybe even got booped, we don't know. But Meteors, as soon as they got the ball rolling, could not be stopped.
That does seem to be the trend here. Once the Meteors get on a roll, it's impossible to stop them. This bat play was huge. Their Reinhardt died, which was unfortunate, but they were able to get several eliminations, even onto the ulting Pharah. That Immortality Field just came out a second too late to save the Cole Cassidy there.
You could tell the BAP was a DPS player because rather than save the Rhine, they threw the Immortality Field at their feet, and so they could continue damaging.
Rather than,
you're just like, nice.
Or rather than save the Cole Cassidy, they did it just a second. They did it when the Pharah turned to them and got the immediate elimination, but ultimately, still impressive BAP play.
Oh, for sure. They've got a ton of value just letting your team die in this
just,
moment.
You know.
Is Gob playing? Is Gob on Baptiste now? Oh, no.
Just, you know, the Reinhardt living was not the priority. And there are definitely times where, as Baptiste, you cannot save your Reinhardt.
Oh, of course.
But healing through a window with Immo still, I don't know if that was one of those times.
Wasn't the smartest decisions, but hey, they got the second checkpoint from it, so it did work.
So maybe it was the smartest play.
So now with the Meteors on defense, what are you hoping to see from the Flares bringing out a Widow and continuing the pharmacy?
The wall and maul is definitely going to terrorize the ground. It'll be up to Panda Squad and Not Lost to try to do something about that pharmacy there. That is going to be a huge deal. They don't really have Blank swapped off the Widowmaker. They wouldn't really have had anything except for D.Va to contest that Widowmaker.
So it could have definitely been a field day for that Widow if they decided to stick to it, but it seems Blank wants to help on the ground war. But as you mentioned, going up against the wall maul is very dangerous, but both tanks managed to survive. Meteors didn't go as aggressive as they definitely should have. Look how many members are just hiding behind the point.
They want to try to get picks before they take this fight right now. That's what they're waiting for, but their DPS have not been able to find those picks just because Not Lost and Pando are doing an incredible job at sustaining. And then right as I say that, Bonesaw's going to get the eliminations.
Onto both Pandas going down. Zondal's able to get the refrag onto Frozen Phoenix, but Bonesaw now on a triple, taking down Not Lost. Not even having the Mercy at their side. Finally, he aligns back with her, but only at half health. D.Va should win this, but Mercy's back on her.
Coming back just in time. The ultimate there didn't get a lot of value, took them in place. Ultimately, what ended up bringing them down here is there's still a Mei just contesting on the point.
And gets the Blizzard down, even freezes both the D.Va and the Baptiste. Who will finally get eliminated as the Deadeye comes out and D-Mex Chump is bumped from Panda Squad. No elimination just yet. Seems the Flares might just have to go for a reset here after losing the real Evan.
And it looks like as we set up for that attack there, that was a lot of ultimates invested in one fight because neither team really had the full solid advantage, and it looks like this Deadeye's going to go. We'll find the Baptiste, which is huge here as we go into next fight.
Yeah, make it 2 as he also takes down Panda Squad, quickly followed by Bonesaw taking down down Joy as well as Judge. Both DPS players just going on a tear right now, getting every elimination as they should, and that's the point for the Flares.
At the point for the Flares, at the hands of Blank. Bonesaw did a little bit of work there, but Blank got the initial pick onto the Baptiste and then just kept going. And at this point, if you're the Meteors, you want to stop them before they're able to have a full team aggressively on you, and they have the ultimates to do that. You want to stop them before Bonesaw charges their ultimate.
Who's already up to 85%.
Yes.
A little bit late on that, but Delirious does not have the Valkyrie to keep Bonesaw alive through his ultimate if he is targeted, and a Grey Wall just pushes him right back to the arc as Judge gets first pick, but here comes the barrage with Bonesaw in the back and getting a triple onto the Ryan, Lucio, and Cole Cassidy as they end up trading right at the tail end. Delirious there, even with the res, bringing back Blank, surprisingly, who is very close to that Jedi at that 67%, 2/3, but gets eliminated by the Baptiste, so Delirious did serve their purpose before getting eliminated. Now the real Evan taking down Joy, quickly followed by Frozen Phoenix and Blank, cleaning up the team. They are continuing this cart push, but not taking nearly as much space as they should.
And the Meteors definitely have the ability to try to turn this on its head because they have the ultimates to do so. A well-placed Cassidy ult could end up taking both the Pharah and the Mercy down if they don't play rooftops correctly, and a Blizzard can take care of everybody on the ground.
So all eyes are going to be on Chumma's Fum to try to eat said Blizzard to keep the ball rolling for the Flares. They're going to immediately throw down the Amplification Matrix on the cart to try to secure this second checkpoint, but the Meteors have the high ground, and they're going to immediately go in with the beat and Amplification Matrix and Blizzard, which will not get eaten. A Blank even brought up the die, but ended up getting frozen. Same with the real Evan, who gets eliminated by Pando. Chumma's Fum going to have to Diva Bomb in the back line, throw it back since they were so far forward as Blank wins the 1v1 against Panda Squad. And it seems this fight is definitely in the favor of the Flares with their stronghold, but they're going for the reset as the Meteors came back with a vengeance with the high ground, even as Blank is continuing to fight against Zondals.
They definitely didn't have their main tank or their off tank for a little bit there, so they had to back off, and it looks like that
shatter on 3 members, both tanks and Blank, but he will get eliminated instead as he just charged right in. Frozen Phoenix gets the refrag onto him as Blank takes down Pando. Bonesaw getting a 2-piece onto Not Lost and Joy. That is the checkpoint for the Flares, and they will continue this momentum forward as Bonesaw with the rocket snipe takes down Joy on the rotation.
Panda Squad, I do actually think that maybe the Meteors need something more intense than a Cole Cassidy, because that is just not enough for this Pharah right now. And that's why Bonesaw has been able to get the amount of value that they've been able to get.
Yeah, Delirious also being the backbone of Boneside, just keeping them alive with the damage and allowing these rockets to two-hit so many of the juicy targets that are the Meteors team members. Even try to go for the environmental, but no elimination yet. Just both Reinhardts holding their shields, walking back and forth. Blank will pick up the first one against Judge with the Deadeye. So now this is where we will see the Flares get as aggressive as possible, but the Meteors are going to answer it with a great 2-man Diva Bomb with the help of that Blizzard and the Amplification Matrix. That is 4 members of the Flares down, trying to get that team wipe. They will knock Frozen Phoenix off the edge, but Chumma's Fum is able to escape with their life.
Bonesaw definitely wants that barrage going into this next fight. We saw them flanking for it last fight, but then they were down both their healers and decided it wasn't worth it, which was a good call. If Bonesaw is unable to get this barrage, it might be worth it just to swap off the Pharah, because this third point is so enclosed.
Yeah, Reinhardt's changing blows in that front line, but Bonesaw with the barrage in the back line gets both supports before getting taken down by the Diva. Now Frozen Phoenix is going to come right in with that shatter and get a 2-piece of their own onto the Ryan and Panda Squad of that Cole Cassidy. The May able to at least pick up one onto Blank before Chumma's Fum takes down and wins the battles of the Divas as Delirious is there with the res. So it is still the full strength of that 6-man roster for the Flares continuing this push. So the sound barrier will have to come out from Panda to keep his teammates alive as the Diva Bomb came out from Chumma's Fum as Bonesaw takes down the May. Quickly followed by Blank winning the 1v1 of the Cole Cassidys, and Pando getting the elimination onto Frozen Phoenix, who gets quickly eliminated by Blank with that Deadeye. Now Judge taking down Blank, and Bonesaw, who swapped over to the Hanzo, gets a 2-piece, who is then quickly eliminated by Zondal's own self-destruct. Now Delirious coming back with the reses. Also the real Evan winning the 1v1 of the Baptistes. Bonesaw taking down Pando. even getting the double dragons who charged in just so quickly. Real Evan even taking down Joy. Flares are continuing this all-out brawl as Panda Squad brings out the Deadeye, unable to get elimination as he is eliminated by Bonesaw, who is now on their own double. Once again taking down Judge. The Shatter is going to come out from Frozen Phoenix, landing onto Hot Lost and Zondos. Panda Squad swapping over to the Genji, and finally that is a reset for the Meteors and the point for the Flares.
Bonesaw definitely just popped off there. It did not matter who on his team was eliminated. He was not leaving this point, and he was going to take everybody else on the side of the Meteors with him there.
They burned off a ton of time, though, with the Flares only finishing off with a minute on the clock, whereas the Meteors have 2:45. So you know for this overtime that the Meteors are feeling very confident.
Super scrappy fight on the side of the Flares there at the end, and it definitely third point, the Pharah stopped getting as much value as they got first and second point, which is why Bonesaw immediately swapped off. But then the other problem they had was continuing to fight fights that were already lost when they could have just reset and came back for ultimately less time than it ended up taking them to take that incredibly prolonged fight.
And this time Panda Squad starting off on the Hanzo, no more Pharmacy, but the Flares with Bones on Delirious bringing back the Pharmacy. So now it's going to be a battle of who can maintain control of the skies, and all that pressure is going to be on the two DPSs because there's nobody really else on the side of Meteors that have been consistently contesting Bonesaw. Zondos has been slowly easing into it, so hopefully we can see them pop off here.
And it's not really Joy's job on the Mei to do anything about the Pharah, right? That almost solely falls to Panda and Zondals if they feel like helping out on that Diva there. And Bonesaw is going to get incredible value if Panda Squad is not able to do anything about that Pharmacy duo.
So Flare's back on attack, and a sneaky Judge in the backline will get the pin onto Chama's Hum and the elimination. So already down that secondary tank, pressure's onto Bonesaw to try to get a pick to even things out, but already Flares are just going to have to back off. They don't have the time to do so. At least they have the spawn advantage to just get that much quicker, but 30 seconds on the board. They have to get right to cart. Bonesaw falling down to half HP from Panda Squad, who's making sure to get that prioritization. But Joy gets the pick onto Blank, who's definitely a key player for the Flares on that ground team. Delirious has to go in for the rest, so that means no res for Bonesaw. He's going to have to play a little bit safer, but gets the elimination onto Judge. Quick followed by Blank, getting the refrag onto Joy. That is your main tank and main holder down. The Panda Squad with a great flank, taking down Blank once again, trying to find Delirious, but will miss it as Bonesaw takes down Not Lost. Now Frozen Phoenix taking down Pando. Bonesaw finally re-engaging onto Panda Squad. That should be the point for the Flares.
And if you're Bonesaw, you definitely want to use this barrage aggressively, especially after demeching this Diva, to secure second point for your team.
She still has the mech.
She still has it.
But the Mei. Oh, no. She lived.
Just barely, I suppose.
But Judge did end up going in trying to contest the car and did get eliminated, so that is a little bit more freedom for the Flares to push up.
That's going to cost his team definitely some space. When your Reinhardt gets eliminated, you can't hold the space on this point. You just have to hold corners and then fall back if they push you.
Yeah, but look at the ults on the side of the Flares. They have 3 online, now 4, with the Meteors now getting close to having 4 online with that Shatter and Double Dragons coming online. But if the Flares start pressing Q and eliminate the possibilities of them, they should definitely be feeling good. The Shatter is going to come out from Frozen Phoenix, as well as the barrage from Bonesaw, leading to 2, but Joy's going to throw down the Blizzard in the backline, taking down Blank, and Judge getting a 2-piece onto Frozen Phoenix, and the Real Evan quickly followed by Zondals taking down Bonesaw. Delirious does get the res onto Real Evan, but will it be enough to continue this fight as we are in overtime? They need to get the cart as far as they can, but the Flares are holding them as hard as they can with Meteors, trying to get any elimination as Judge ends up falling to Blank, who's now on the Tracer. But Chamaswan will end up getting demech. The self-destruct will come out from Zondals, now leading to any elimination as the perfect time. Maywall from his own teammate, no less.
Almost got that mercy.
Will block it off. Bonesaw now even on the Doomfist, just to try to cause as much brawling on the cart as he can and win those fights. He is up 2. Now Frozen Phoenix, who's now on the Wrecking Ball, takes down Zondals. The cart is moving once again.
Accidental Maywall sabotage there. We for sure would have gotten the mercy. Maybe could have gotten other people. Panda Squad doing much, much better against Bonesaw and the Doomfist than they were against Bonesaw and the Pharah, but Delirious is still there with the res.
Bonesaw with a pocket mercy is terrifying. no matter what DPS he's playing, is just terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. And it definitely doesn't help that the Meteors aren't playing.
Double Shatter will go in the advantage of the Meteors for Judge getting a triple. And this might be the end of the Flayers' push as both supports are taking out now the secondary tank. And now the Meteors even making sure that it can't get eliminated with Panda throwing down the sound barrier. Judge is on a triple, and that will be it. Got close to the second checkpoint, so they got a lot of distance.
If you're a Meteors fan, you love Judge right now for that shatter. And honestly, for just a minute, that's an incredible push. That is truly incredible, getting it all the way to second point, because there are a lot of teams that would have just been stopped first point with a single minute, and they almost did. If Delirious didn't get that res onto Blank, they wouldn't have gotten first point. And if Judge didn't get this shatter, they would have gotten second point. So ultimately, great job by individual players on both of these teams.
So now with the Meteors having to go on attack and having almost 3 minutes for their attack, they have to be feeling pretty confident that they have a little bit more leeway, whereas the Flayers just had to keep go, 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 go.
The Flayers just had to just stay on the cart and not fight anywhere but the cart. The Meteors have the luxury of maybe being able to do something different here, but they're not even going to get past first point if they can't deal with Bonesaw on the far.
Yeah, so all that pressure is going to be on Zondals and Panda Squad, mainly Panda Squad, but maybe not Lost is going to be there to try to give them some assistance with this DPS BAP that we've been seeing all night.
And ultimately, because of the amount of spam a pocketed Pharah can do, Not Lost does not have a ton of opportunity to sustain to DPS, because they have to sustain their entire team. Ultimately, the job of the Meteors is to speed onto them before their Pharah can get too much value. So it'll be up to Pando to speed and Panda Squad to try to get the elimination onto Bonesaw or Delirious.
Yeah, Meteors having some nice, clean, fast rotations. Gonna have to jump right on top of that double barrier setup that Flayers have, or single barrier, minus bad. But Bonesaw just poking them down as much as he can, as they're just stuck in these tight corridors. And without Panda Squad trying to focus them down and try to get those eliminations on the tank, Frozen Phoenix gets first blood on main heels of Not Lost. Now Bonesaw taking down Panda Squad. That's the end of the push for the Meteors, losing their main heals.
The Meteors are walking into two majorly spam heroes. There's no way they're going to be able to get up close. It's really just up to Panda Squad to get the elimination on the Bonesaw, because they can't play in the open.
Yeah, with Blank getting a two-piece onto both tanks, as well as the real Evan finishing off the Mei, that's a reset for the Meteors. And I want to see a comp swamp here, because this Hanzo hasn't been able to get the picks he needs.
The Meteors can't play in the open right now because of the Far Mercy, but they can't play in close quarters either because of that Junkrat. So they're really just in a position where they need to get the elimination if they want to push, and they only have 1 minute and 37 seconds to do it.
Yeah, and as well with Bonesaw having the barrage, going to use it right on Panda Squad's face. That was personal, and you know it. Because he's normally getting multi-kills with that, but only got a single. So the Amplification Matrix is going to come out from the Meteors for Not Lost, who's falling very low and will get eliminated as he had to use that Immortality Field. Bonesaw now on a triple after that barrage, with Blank picking up one more onto Zondals, and poor old Pando trying to run away on that Lucio. It's another reset. That's a whole 2 minutes burned off the clock for the Meteors.
Panda Squad needs help. It is not just up to Panda Squad at this point. There are, like, for example, Joy could swap and maybe help them get that elimination, but they've just been hard locked onto this Mei this whole time. And at this point, they're so close to Blizzard, it might not be worth it to swap if they can't get the elimination.
And with a play like that coming up from Blank, getting a two-piece onto the Mei and the Reinhardt, that's no push because you lost your front line.
Definitely not looking good. These last 30...
want to see a reset here of the comp swamp. You need to change something up because this isn't working.
These last 32 seconds are not looking good. And honestly, at this point, they needed to comp swap about 2 minutes earlier.
After the first team fight, if even.
Yes, when first fight didn't work, they needed to recognize they don't really have the time to play around.
Dragons came out, leads to a two-piece for the main heals and Blank, but Bonesaw still alive, gets a two-piece of their own, taking down the Baptiste and the Hanzo. Self-destruct did come out from Channel 7. Now Bonesaw with the barrage able to get a two-piece. Delirious is there with the res as Zondals gets the elimination against Bonesaw, but Judge taking down the real Evan. This could be the point for the Meteors. They just don't have the manpower to contest Frozen Phoenix with that Bongo amplifying his damages, with him getting a two-piece taking down Judge and Zondals. We did hear the shatter come out from Judge, trying to keep his team as the fight. And now Pando's bringing out the sound barrier to keep his 2 DPS alive. That now finally swapped over to the Echo and Tracer. But Panda Squad is quickly eliminated by the real Evan, who is now on the Lucio from that Baptiste. And now a great Diva Bomb from Zondals takes down 2 more of the Flares. This is an all-out brawl on the point, able to finally get second hit. But it is all-out stall for the Flares to try to hold back the Meteor's push.
It looks like Judge is going to see what they can do there on the ball. Don't really have a ton of room to swing around or a ton of stuff to swing off of there onto the point. And they're going to finally get that because they swapped. Things weren't working, and so they finally swapped. And now the Meteors have a comp that they don't really like. So the Flares actually should be able to easily knock them off of this.
But they also forced Bonesaw off of the Pharah after they used the Barrage to go to the Tracer to try to stall. But Bonesaw and the Tracer just dust as well because they just took down Judge, who got way overly aggressive. So the Meteors are going to try to have to answer it with an Amplification Matrix. So the Flares are going to answer it with their own Tire and eliminate Not Lost as soon as Bonesaw eliminates the Immortality field with the Pulse Bomb. So committing so many ults just to eliminate the Baptiste. Now the Valkyrie's going to come out from Delirious as Chum's Phone brings out the Self-Destruct and gets 2 more. But Judge has already respawned, eliminating Blank. Delirious gets the res uncontested onto Bonesaw so they can continue this push as Frozen Phoenix tries to hold back the remaining members of the Meteors and will continue to do so as they take down Joy and Not Lost now on the Mercy. This might be the end of their push as it's just a continued brawl. Thomas Bum taking down Zondals, Bonesaw taking down the Wrecking Ball, Panda Squad taking down Delirious as Bonesaw takes down Pando, and that will be it.
That will be their push. They had a comp that they didn't necessarily like on that point, but at that point it was too late to change it.
Yeah, so the Esports Tower Flares will be the first ever 2-0 team of this matchup with the new rosters. It seems that they just had such a strong showing. Bonesaw definitely carrying their weight on that team without a doubt. Being that leader, being the shot caller, showing their skill level. Well, if you want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured Rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. So now as we take a look at who might be player of the game, it's hard not to say Bonesaw for how well they were capitalizing on it. But of course, being the person that I am, I want to highlight Delirious on that Mercy, who was the backbone of every huge play Bonesaw had.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts, though?
So Delirious is definitely a good pick, and Bonesaw is definitely a good pick. But other than the Far Mercy that just completely dominated King's Row, I definitely have to say Panda Squad did not necessarily get as much value as they needed to on the Hanzo, but they did on other heroes, and it would feel a little bit wrong after watching them pop off all night to just not even have them be a part of the player of the game discussion, if that makes sense, just because of one King's Row matchup. And then I definitely think Not Lost got a lot of DPS value on the Baptiste. I think they struggled sometimes sustaining their team or correctly using immortality fields, especially against Bonesaw.
Yeah, and also highlighting Judge on that Reinhardt for getting a lot of great shatters, keeping his team in the fight for the Meteors. So we'll have to wait and see who the player of the game will come out to be. And it looks like it will be Bonesaw as predicted.
We expected.
And going over these Bastion plays, just
popping
kind of carrying his team, like denies the Deadeye and immediately takes down the other DPS that was the only one causing his team issues. Just absolutely phenomenal. So well-deserved Bonesaw. And they will be your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, which is brought to us by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Bonesaw is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. And as we prepare to close this match out, any big takeaways?
Bonesaw getting Barrage first fight just because they were able to do this, and then getting the double kill on it because the Meteors couldn't rotate fast enough was absolutely huge. And they did that in large part because of the damage boost, but also because they were shooting all of the members of the Meteors at the same time with every single rocket they launched.
Well, a huge congratulations to all the teams for a very exciting week 1 of the Spring Rumble. And with new teams, the games have been insanely close, and it's impossible to say who will come out on top. The Meteors are off to a 2-0 after the start of tonight, and can they keep the momentum up, or can the Flares, Mammoths, or even Meridian Tech bring them down next week? So make sure to stay tuned next Tuesday at 6 p.m. EST to see the thrilling conclusion of our Rumble. We'll close tonight out with the top 5 presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills to the next level with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 sign-on bonus. They're the best team to join out there, so make sure to reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming, and have a good night. To keep their tanks alive. Now, all 3 ultimates coming out for the Meteors, including the Amplification Matrix. A great self-destruct going to lead to both tanks getting eliminated. The tire attempt did come out, but did not lead to an elimination. The Deadeye coming up, but quickly eliminated by Bonesaw with this tank taking down both DPS. Both losing his life before it can hit the ground. Things to that May, quickly followed by Panda Squad taking down the Lucio. It seems the Flares are trying to take back this point, but with not, if anything, not Doomfist has to say anything about it, taking down Pando, but will get cleaned up by the Shiva and the May, and a great right click by Panda Squad.
That was kind of
field of not Doomfist.
And it looks like the Baptiste won that sniper duel, or at least got the Widowmaker to back off there, so Panda Squad a little bit scared of that Baptiste, definitely, and should be scared of Illusion there at the respawn, going to go ahead and click that head, immediately going to click Lucky Q as well, and at this point...
That's a triple!
That's a triple on the Widowmaker!
With minute 30 remaining for the Flares to take this second point. So the pressure is on for them to just continue this push forward. They're going to sit right on top of them and the Shatter, with the C-Squared getting a double boop elimination on both tanks, no less. Even eliminating both the Immortality Fields. Delirious bring now on the Cole Cassidy, with Joy taking on the role of the May. They tried to go for the wall and all, kind of typical King's Row brawl, whereas the Flares are just going for poke, and a great barrage so early on is going to lead to a double for Bonesaw. Make that a triple as they take down Judd.